This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I don't know if it's just a little cooler downtown or maybe it's gotten a little cooler throughout the day, but I was stunned. I woke up this morning and I looked at my thermostat and, the outdoor temperature is on my thermostat and it said 60 degrees. I'm like, wait, what? I actually had to check it to see if it was real. And then I have a screen capture of this. A few hours later, it was 70 degrees. Now, downtown, it says 63. So out where I was, out in the burbs in Fenton, it said 70 degrees, and that was like 3 hours ago. It's
Usually,
pretty nice.
They get the reading from the airport. So it's difficult to know. Nobody lives there.
Well, no, I don't think that's true. I think you're going to find, if you're downtown St. Louis, the temperature is easily going to be different potentially where I am. I don't think it's
For
the entire
sure.
region. But what I mean is that weather app is not giving you just one temperature for the entire region.
You got it from the weather app from where you are.
Yeah, it's not giving me the airport temperature. It's giving me the temperature of where I am, and it indicates that it's a little cooler than it was earlier this morning. It really doesn't matter. It's beautiful. I think that's the bottom line and the point. Look, I was all ready to start the show here this afternoon thinking this Nancy Guthrie thing is not going to be solved. I don't know what's going on. It just seems so weird. You had the audio and the video that came out from Savannah yesterday, which was different because she wasn't really addressing the potential kidnappers. And then if you're just joining us here this afternoon, everything changed a few hours ago. And we had gotten word this morning that they were about to release some video and some images. And in fact, they did. Now, the breaking news right now, and I don't know if this is significant or not, really. You have to wonder how in-depth this investigation went beyond the Guthries.
Yes.
And Annie Guthrie and Tommaso, her husband, there were reports that there were people back in the house. And now we're seeing video that say that they're at the home of the neighbor of Annie Guthrie. Now, who knows? Maybe it's just a follow-up question. That may not be someone who is suspected. But what we can say, Sue, and maybe a little difficult to do this on the radio because you can't see the video. If you haven't seen the video, there's a pretty clear, it's not the Ring doorbell, this is Nest. It raises questions of why they weren't able to get this until day 11, of all of this. But it's very clear video where you see someone who's about average height. I'd say I'm 5'10". A man, looks like a white dude, has a mask on. At first, though, he approaches with his head down.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like maybe there was even a headlamp on because there was some reflection.
Yeah.
And then he moved forward, and he had gloves on that were very unusual. It was either a weird pair of gloves or maybe gloves that were put on another pair of gloves. They almost looked like boxing gloves, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And that raised a lot of the experts' interest this morning because people were saying, well, look, if you're going to unscrew things or take things out or something like that, you would not be able to manipulate things with gloves on that are that big. But he is covered from head to toe in clothing that is somewhat recognizable.
Yes, and the way he moves, because he goes up to the camera, the Nest, goes back, comes back multiple times. You see how he walks. You get an idea of how tall he is based on everything. This is big deal.
And he grabbed, this is weird. Now, there's some things about this that don't make sense because he grabbed some of a plant,
foliage.
like a foliage, right?
Yeah.
And it looked to me when I first saw it, I thought, well, that's like a bunch of electric wires. Well, it wasn't. It was part of a plant, and it's a little unclear if he was trying to cover up
it. That's what it
the
looked
Nest
like.
camera. But here's what I would say, Sue, and I know I told this story years ago because it was after I was in the FBI Citizens Academy, but when I did that thing, we had a bunch of different, you and I have talked about the shooting simulators. But one thing that they did, and it was uncomfortable because they were talking about sex crimes, but they showed us a photograph of, and her face was blocked out, of a girl where they had discovered certainly child pornography or inappropriate photos at somebody's house, right? And one of those photos was of this girl, and she had like a cheerleading outfit on. And the quiz for the class, we were the class at the time, was to say, okay, this is all you have, okay? You have this image. You don't know where it's from. You have no idea. Can you find out who this girl is? And they meticulously, and this is what the FBI and these investigators are doing, they meticulously go through every little thing that they could see in that. And they find that the uniform that she's wearing is somewhat recognizable. And they send investigators to Ohio, where these uniforms are in theory made. And they ask a couple of people there, and it even looks like, the way that I remember the story being told, it looks like it's going to be a complete dead end. And then there's someone who's kind of like a receptionist, and she goes, come to think of it, I remember that. And it was really one order like that. And it was in this state, wherever it was. I can't remember.
Dang.
And they went, it was the father of this girl that they had, and he was selling images. It was just revolting. But I bring that story up because even the details on that clothing can mean a lot. I mean, they're going to look at the style, the brand, where it could have been purchased.
Yes.
So there's probably some really, really in-depth police work going on right now. Now, not unlike the Luigi Mangione situation, I think we all would agree that, if you see the video, somebody's got to recognize this person.
Agreed.
Right?
I mean, the clothing, the gloves, just like you said, but even the way he moves, I think that if that person was somebody in that neighborhood, he would be recognizable based on that video.
Well, and the other theory is, and I think this is probably the case, that this person is probably local in Tucson and, hasn't gone too far. Now, what does this do for the kidnapping scenarios? Does it blow it up completely? Because, I heard this guy this morning on Fox. Fred, I think, pulled the bite, and I was totally on his side. Now, this was before any of this broke with the images and the pictures, right?
I don't think she was kidnapped. We would have heard, listen, there would have been a video, there would have been a photograph, there would have been something, a lock of hair, a drop of blood, something mailed to somebody so they could verify, yes, in fact, these people have my mother.
So, it just seemed like, especially after the message from Savannah yesterday, that this was maybe going to go down in a different way. Man, I hope that they can figure this out.
Me too.
At this point. You have an armed suspect, by the way. He did have a gun. He had a backpack.
And his gun, they said he had an inappropriate
different
holster.
type of holster.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's not the type of holster you'd use for that gun.
So that was
they had a lot
confusing.
of theories about that.
Right. So we don't. I mean, at this point, you don't even know if this person is, a lone actor or if there's part of a larger plot. But the whole kidnapping thing just doesn't make sense because if that was real, my guess is that these are opportunists that were sending things to, the local TV station into Harvey Levin. Then again, both of them, both Harvey and the TV station in Tucson, indicated that there were things in that message, in the communication that they were not supposed to reveal. The FBI wanted to, prevent too much information from getting out. And they both had a theory that indicated that whoever was sending this could identify Nancy Guthrie. So anyway, it's a bizarre case, and I don't know if even by the end of the show, I mean, these things sometimes they work very, very quickly. I was making the reference, maybe I didn't complete my thought on Luigi Mangione, but when that thing came out, you could see more of his face, right?
Yeah.
But still, we knew with the eyebrows and everything that someone was going to identify him, and I'm guessing they already have some pretty good leads here this afternoon. So the question then becomes, is she still alive?
Right? And he's wearing a backpack, which is something else you can try to identify.
I'm also waiting to hear about a possible news conference by the police because the sheriff said, we're not going to have another one until there is a big development.
Yeah.
This seems like a big development.
Remember, Trump indicated over the weekend that something might be coming. So why this took so long, we'll eventually know, I think. So Dan Bongino is not with the FBI anymore. He's back on Fox doing stuff.
Well, I see a lot of things. You notice when he walks up, he has his head down. Maybe he thinks there's some surveillance camera outside he's missing. But then he seems, if you look, he's surprised. I see it playing right now. He seems like he's going to knock on the door and then seems surprised by the presence of that doorbell camera right there. And then instead of having a simple item like a piece of tape, he goes out and grabs it in kind of amateurish manner, some plant that he tries to cover it with. It just seems quite odd. And another thing that sticks out to me is, having been not just in law enforcement, being a gun carrier my whole life, that's a very unusual way to carry a firearm. I mean, they have inside the waistband holsters. Now, I don't know what type of firearm it is. I can't see from the picture. I'm watching it right here. Maybe it's a revolver. I don't know. But that's an unusually large holster to be carried in that manner.
So all this is going to come into play when it comes to evidence. Here's something weird, too. You want to hear the weirdest part of this all day?
Yeah.
And you have to wonder how this could happen. Somebody ordered a Domino's pizza. I'm not even making this up. And the delivery dude for Domino's walked right up to Nancy Guthrie's door. Like, how it's a half circle driveway?
Yeah.
So there was a media member. I guess somebody ordered it for a media member to be nice to them, and then the guy didn't know who to deliver it to, and he walks right up to the door. There's all these police and investigators, and the Domino's guy is going right up to the door.
It was a podcaster, and his friend in Oregon knew he was staking out the front of the house.
Oh, my
Sent
gosh.
him 3 pizzas just to be nice, and used her address.
Wow.
And so the delivery guy just walked up to the door.
Yeah, the dude's just walking around. He's like, okay,
Okay.
whose pizza is this? So I don't know. In the end here, Ethan even said before the show, I can't wait for the Netflix documentary on this in 3 years. I don't think it's going to be 3 years. It's probably going to happen a lot sooner than that. All right, well, we have other stories that we can cover today. Unfortunately, we can't really cover how the U.S. is doing in the Olympics and blowing people away because we're not really doing that. So Michaela Schifrin totally pooped the bed, didn't she? Is that what I hear?
I don't know yet. I've been trying to not do spoilers, but then, because, people can watch it tonight, but I'm going to have to look that up because I'm interested. Dang it.
Here's the headline. Michaela Schifrin, this is the Wall Street Journal. Michaela Schifrin's Olympic nightmare continues with a slalom collapse. Handed the chance to win the gold medal in the team combined event, the American delivered one of the worst slalom races of her career and finished off the podium. So she didn't do so well. We have Lindsey Vonn, who's in the hospital. Breezy Johnson's kind of like maybe the star right now, and we still have a lot of hopes in ice skating. I'm going to go off on Eileen Gu in the next hour, who is this complete traitor to the U.S., whose mother is from China, and she decides after taking advantage of all our freedoms and liberties here in this country, and I remember her from the last Olympics, and I was disgusted by it, and I'm disgusted by it even more right now. But we will cover some of the Olympic stuff this afternoon. We got a big Lincoln Days coming up in Springfield. So you always have the local Republican GOP committees that have Lincoln Days. You have St. Louis County Lincoln Days and St. Charles Lincoln Days. But the big one's down in Springfield, and everyone's going to be there. Schmidt will be there, Hawley, all the big, the big names. Sometimes in the local ones, you won't get everyone to show up. But Jennifer Bukowski, Jen is the vice chair of the Republican Party. She is an attorney in Columbia. We've had her on before. She's going to preview that and weigh in on some of the issues here this afternoon. Francis Sempa, who writes on geopolitics for Real Clear Defense. He's been a guest before. I've still, we're 2 weeks removed now from all this Greenland stuff, right? Things move so quickly. Like I was thinking about this today. What's going on between Israel and Gaza? Like, does anybody know there? Nope. The ceasefire's holding, right? But is there rebuilding? What's going on? That it just completely vanishes. Greenland's sort of the same way. And Francis has a really good grasp of why that is so important. And Fred and I literally been looking for people for a couple of weeks, like, who's a really good person on Greenland? And I think that Francis might be that person.
And I think right now there are some Democrat U.S. senators in Greenland doing the apology tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Saying sorry.
That I
what
didn't
the president
know.
is trying to do.
All right. Well, we'll figure out what's going on with there. We're going to go down to spring training. Matt Pauley from KMOX is down there. A couple of different reasons I want to talk with Matt. Obviously, not the most exciting baseball, season that we're anticipating here in St. Louis, but he'll have some thoughts on that. But Sue, he was on a Southwest Airlines flight down to I'm not sure what airport they even fly into. But he had some interesting reactions because it was kind of like the first time with the new seating and everything.
I'm dying to hear that.
Yeah, he had a really good X post that I took a screen capture of, so we'll ask him about that. David Strom from hotair.com up in Minneapolis at 5:04, and it's Tech Talk Tuesdays, so George Rosenthal is going to weigh in on some of the issues related to Bitcoin, but also, some stuff related to the Guthrie case with the Nest video, why it takes so long, some of the other things that we're learning this afternoon. So we're off and running here on a Tuesday edition of the Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we've got some road work on westbound 370 approaching 141. This has been in place for a while. This was an issue this morning, but now it's rush hour and westbound traffic is even worse. So it's a slow go approaching 141. They've got the two right lanes blocked. Now, there was an accident. Well, it was a stall reported. It was eastbound 270 past Lilac. Look for that on the left shoulder. Northbound 55 approaching M. There is an accident on the shoulder. And we've got moderate volume. If you're headed into Illinois, headed for 64 coming off the Poplar. Westbound 64 on the Missouri side, slowing. Moderate volume at Hampton and at 270 and at Prospect. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I was just watching a video. Actually, wait, I can't tell this story until I play this. I should have known this. Here we go.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broke and it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. Jerry Kelly.
Okay, I jumped the gun a little bit there.
That's
Apologize
all
for
right.
that. You know, there's a lot of people. I was watching an Instagram video today, and I can't remember who it was. It was a professional athlete, and they were talking about peptides. And peptides are kind of something that's hot right now. I can't even explain to you all the things about peptides that you need to know, but I know someone who can, and that's Matt Lawrence and his team at Game Day Men's Health. Matt tells me there's a lot of misinformation out there online. That's why you want to go to the experts. And Game Day is still offering you guys an opportunity to go in for an hour visit. They very much stick to the schedule. They'll do some blood work. Within 20 minutes, they'll have results, and then you can find your optimal performance. Maybe it's something involving improving testosterone health. Maybe it's ED related. Maybe it's medical weight loss, or maybe it's vitamin injections and peptides, and they can walk through all the particulars. One big advantage for Game Day, they have their own pharmacy that keeps the prices low. And Matt's got a great staff. It's an awesome environment. You're going to feel comfortable. The pricing is very, very streamlined and simple. They do great work. Game Day Men's Health in Chesterfield at 6440 and Olive and Clarkson. The website, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Also a location in O'Fallon.
According to MasterCard, nearly half of small businesses have been a victim of a cyber attack. As cybercrime escalates, ThrottleNet is calling on businesses to strengthen their security posture by taking a free online IT security audit right from your desk. This 3-minute online assessment provides an immediate score to see security gaps and vulnerabilities in your network. For 26 years, ThrottleNet has supported your business IT everything right here in St. Louis. In fact, no client of ThrottleNet has ever paid a ransom. So visit ThrottleNet.com/971 to take the free assessment today.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim, and if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, busy afternoon. A lot going on, including the new pictures release of the potential suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. We'll keep you posted on that throughout the afternoon. We have a Tuesday edition of Sue's News coming up in about an hour, a little less than an hour. Matt Pauley from spring training, so we are loaded up here this afternoon. Also, we have Jen Bukowski back with us this afternoon from the middle part of Missouri. She's the vice chair of the Missouri Republican Party. There is a huge Lincoln Day celebration coming up later in February. It's going to be here before you know it. Jennifer Bukowski, how are you? Welcome back to 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Let me just ask you about some, broader things. We'll get to the specifics about Lincoln Days and just some thoughts on where, the party stands right now in Missouri. It looks pretty strong from my perspective. Eric Schmidt is out there all the time leading the charge nationally. Senator Hawley is doing the same thing. I mean, we got a lot of great things going on in the state and people representing the state speaking nationally, don't we, right now?
We really do, and they're all going to be gathered together for the weekend, next weekend in Springfield. So it's a great opportunity to be amongst your fellow Republicans and to meet our great leaders. But I can tell you what, I don't know what a lot of the senators from other states look like, but our two senators are on prime time TV like every night. They're famous And America loves our senators, so we know how to pick them.
It is kind of amazing, isn't it? I mean, Schmidt in particular, and, I tease him a little bit because I know Eric pretty well, and he was down again, playing golf with Trump and hanging out and doing the Super Bowl party.
He was at a Super Bowl party, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think you might agree with this because you know a lot of politicians. Some politicians, Jen, I've said, are a little weird, right? But Eric has always been, I've known him since 2008. He's just real. He keeps it real, and he hasn't changed. And that's important because I've seen people to a certain degree change a lot when they get to a certain level of notoriety and fame, and I have not sensed any of that with Eric Schmidt, which is what I love.
I agree. Like, you could have a beer with him. He's authentic. He's fun to be around. And some of our guys and gals are great, but they're a little wonky and a little afraid to let loose and say what they really think, and so they're not as fun to hang out with.
Well, we got a great chair, of course, Peter Kinder of the Republican Party. You're the vice chair, so tell me what this is all about next weekend in Springfield and why it's so important to the party, too, Jen.
We are celebrating the golden era and especially the 250th anniversary of our country. We're going to have talks on the revolution and history. We're going to have the different elected leaders, and I just really appreciate this as an opportunity. Tickets start at like $52 for the base ticket. You can add on the different dinners, but they have we have the suites Friday night where you can go. It's kind of like a tailgate. You go from suite to suite, meet the different elected leaders or their teams, and just have a good time with your fellow Republicans. So there's a dinner Friday night, a dinner Saturday night, some talks, some lunches, ice cream social. It should be a good time.
Yeah, I was indicating before I welcomed you onto the show, it's like Lincoln Days take place in different counties across the state as well. But this is the big one for the state, correct?
Yeah, this is for the whole state. This is where all the statewide leaders come, and this is where people come from all over the state. And it rotates. Sometimes it's in St. Louis. This year it's in Springfield.
So how do people, what's the website? If people do want to maybe make the trek and visit that weekend, what can they do?
They can go to Missouri.gop and reserve their tickets now.
How have you thought Governor Kehoe is doing? He's about to give, the legislature, well, I guess he gave the state of the state, but he obviously wants to get rid of the income tax in the state of Missouri. You have a supermajority. You think that's something that they can actually achieve before the end of this session, Jen?
I hope so. I think he's doing a tremendous job. I love the idea of eliminating the state income tax. He's a promises made, promises kept kind of guy. He seems super focused on open enrollment this session as well. And so everything he had to say at his State of the State address, I played numerous clips from it on my radio show, and I'm just so glad and I feel lucky that we have him as our governor.
Yeah, he seems to have it together, which is certainly something appreciated after, I think we would both agree there was a bit of a chaotic period in Missouri politics for a while there. All right, Jen Bukowski, thanks so much, and good to hook up with you. I know every time I have dinner with our mutual friend Rex Singfield, he gives you a great shout out and loves what you're doing there in mid-Missouri.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'll come back anytime, and I hope to see you in Springfield the 20th through the 22nd.
All right, take care. Big Lincoln Day is coming up. By the way, we were talking about Eric Schmidt. This is kind of like a side note because he is on, I tease him all the time because he's on Laura's show so much and really a lot of the national shows. I think that's because he's likable and people can relate to the way, and he's not wonky in the way he describes the issues. But there was this guy on Newsmax. I'm not sure who this dude is, okay? But here's just, I'll explain in the end. You'll hear what happens.
Let's bring in Republican Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri. Good morning, Senator. So Republicans made concessions to keep the government open earlier this year. You're one of several Republicans who want something in return, say, like an end to sanctuary cities. That seems like common sense to me. Is it going to happen?
Yeah, well, first of all, sorry, I'm Pete Ricketts from Nebraska. But yes, ending sanctuary cities would be one of the things.
Okay, did you catch that? He introduced him as Senator Schmidt, and then it was Pete Ricketts. So Pete Ricketts actually has to correct him at a certain point. So no, I'm not Eric Schmidt.
Sense to me, is it going to happen?
Yeah, well, first of all, sorry, I'm Pete Ricketts from Nebraska. But yes, ending sanctuary cities would be one of the things that would actually help avoid the terrible situations we've seen in.
Now, I don't know who the anchor was. I don't watch Newsmax. It might not have been his fault from this perspective because, look, a producer's going to put that up and you're going to have a teleprompter and you might not even be able to see your guest.
Correct.
Okay, so it depends on the setup that they had.
Yes.
But a lot of times you're not even able to see the guest. So it might either the anchor really screwed up or from experience, the anchor yelled and said a lot of bad words to his producer after that segment. I'd say that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are headed into Illinois, we've got some slow-moving traffic on 55-64 eastbound, headed for 70. So just from about Route 3 through there, it's a slow go. Westbound 70 out of downtown, a little slow as you head towards Salisbury. We've got an issue there reported. And westbound 40, that's a slow go. This is approaching Hampton out through McCausland. And again, moderate volume, but it's approaching Lindbergh out through 270. Now, 70 westbound, there was some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road, and at 94, it's westbound 370. The jam's headed for 141, and that is all due to road work. Southbound 270, moderate volume Olive, down in pockets through Doherty Ferry. This report brought to you by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Midwest winters take a real toll on your garage door. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis can come out and perform their 26-point tune-up on your garage door and opener. Just one price for up to 3 garage doors and openers. Schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Your eye health is important. My eye health is important. I pay particular attention because I had an eye disease many, many years ago, and I have a silicone buckle around my right eye so the retina doesn't detach. I've had it there for 3 decades. But I go to Ophthalmology Associates on an annual basis to make sure that everything's okay. And luckily it has been. It has, held, and I haven't hit my head. I was told by my doctor at the time, which, by the way, this is kind of funny, too. He's not at Ophthalmology Associates, but my doctor at the time, my surgeon in Columbia, was named Dr. Kevin Blinder. He's still around here. That's kind of just a funny story. It's true. But I trust the team at Ophthalmology Associates because we even call them the doctor's doctors. More than 250 physicians from the area go to Ophthalmology Associates, and they do great work here in St. Louis with outstanding folks behind the scenes. I always like to focus on that because it is an amazing office visit. A lot of times you go to a doctor, a dentist, and an eye doctor. It's no fun to have things, going poof in your eye, checking the pressure and stuff like that. They make it so comfortable, and they really are the pros here in St. Louis. So call, make an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or the website, youridoc.com for Ophthalmology Associates.
Mark Cox here. It is the month of love for my friends at Zero Res. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and say you want the KFTK special. Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon and learn how to create a worry-free retirement with the Retirement Advisory Group. It's coming up on Tuesday, February 17th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30 p.m. Here are Bob and Tammy Kershaw with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Being first in line can be very important to homeowners. First in line for the plumber, first in line for the HVAC guy, first in line for Banner Construction. It's Banner Construction's winter home event, and you can be first in line this spring and save before the annual price increases. Banner Construction is a James Hardy and Pelowina replacement specialist, and now is the best time to schedule a free in-home consultation with no obligation. Call 314-569-1050 or see them online and have a banner day.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show at 3:33, sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. Where common sense rules the mic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
is the kind of day that I like to send screen captures of the temperature up to my family and friends in Chicago and in Milwaukee.
How bad is it?
Well, in
there?
Chicago it was like 44, and I sent it to my sister, and she goes, my niece lives here, and that's her daughter. She goes, Amelia beat you to it. But, yeah, we like to show off. Even, I was checking out Las Vegas was 60 when we were at 70. So we're warmer than a lot of parts of the country. That won't last forever, but we're going to enjoy it while we can, Sue, right? Yeah. And this is setting us up, as Sue and I have indicated, for a March that'll probably suck.
Yep, that's
right?
pretty much it.
But we'll see what happens. All right. A few weeks ago, I was trying to get my head around all this stuff with Greenland, and I don't ever really think I did, and I don't think I ever found someone that could explain it well. Until now, we have Francis Sempa back with us. He writes on geopolitics for Real Clear Defense, and I found a piece that he wrote about Greenland, and we welcome him back this afternoon. Francis, how are you? Welcome back.
Very good, Mark. Thank you for having me back.
So why is Greenland, maybe first and foremost, explain what we're trying to achieve. We're not really taking over the country. There's no military invasion, which I think some people thought might have been serious. But explain what President Trump's goal is here and why it's so important strategically for the U.S.
Yeah, President Trump's goal is really no different from what the goal was, for example, during the Second World War. When we had military installations on Greenland. It was to provide for our hemispheric security, to strengthen that hemispheric security. President Trump and his key advisors understand that China and Russia have been trying to make inroads not only into Greenland, but into the Arctic. And the Arctic is kind of one of the next battlegrounds of what many people are calling Cold War II, particularly with China. And so what President Trump is trying to do is to get us more access. We already have a Space Command base on Greenland, and he wants to get us even more access to Greenland's territory because it is not only part of the North Atlantic Ocean, it's also part of the Arctic Ocean. And so we have important strategic interests that need to be protected to reduce the influence of China and Russia and to provide not only for hemispheric security, but to help in the whole process of containment of China, particularly in our own hemisphere.
So we don't have, this is where it gets just a little confusing. We don't necessarily have a final deal. I mean, I think what happened a few weeks ago, as you reported too, that you've got an outline of a deal with NATO and Denmark to sort of talk about minerals and some of these other things, but nothing's final. Is that accurate or not?
No, that's accurate. I haven't heard anything since then that there was a deal in the works, but I have not heard any final deal, nor have I heard the terms of that final deal, other than President Trump saying that we will be satisfied with the deal that he's proposing.
So what do you think needs to happen for this to come together in a more official way? And will it, if it does come together, will it do so without the complete freak out and heads exploding all over the world, as certainly the left here in this country?
Yeah, well, I don't think anything's going to stop the left from their heads exploding. That seems to be something that they on a daily basis. But people who understand security and understand geopolitics, I think will be very satisfied if the United States can get more access.
Well, I think we lost them there for a second. A lot of times they come back, so let's just see what happens. Francis, are you there? We kind of lost you for a second. Doesn't sound like he's there. That's never a good thing. Oh, wait, I think you're coming back. Okay, hang on, Francis, because we lost you for like 20 seconds. Are you back?
Oh, yes, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Yeah, we missed the last part of that. I don't know if you can remember what you were saying there.
Okay, I think what President Trump is trying to do is to consolidate the hemispheric security with Greenland, with the Panama Canal, with what happened in Venezuela, as a means so that we can better wage this Cold War II against China. We need to reduce their influence in this hemisphere, and as I pointed out in my article, make sure that we have access to bases in the Indian Ocean, in the Philippines, so that we can better contain China there.
And that's something. I mean, we do have something in the Philippines right now. You're saying expand on that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We have access to Subic Bay. We have some access to the former Clark Air Base, but those were two key installations during the Cold War against Russia. They're even more important now that China is our main adversary. And continuing access to our base and the UK's base on Diego Garcia is also very, very vital, because Diego Garcia's geographical position in the center of the Indian Ocean is crucial for us to have control of that and to have access to that, so that we can watch China's moves in the Indian Ocean, in the Middle East, and in South Asia.
How does Cuba play into this at all?
Oh, I think Cuba does play into it all, because when we're talking hemispheric security, Cuba, obviously only 90 miles from our shore, is always going to be a factor, and we are going to want to reduce Russian influence as well as Chinese influence in Cuba. But if we can do what President Trump is trying to do in Greenland, and what's already done in the Panama Canal, I think we'll be in good stead to deal with anything that happens in Cuba.
Can you do that without, because even a few weeks ago, the rhetoric seemed to change a little bit from the beginning of the NATO meeting to the end. But obviously you have the leaders of Denmark and Greenland making, staunch claims that this is not going to happen. But then when maybe you get a little better explanation of what the goals are, they seem to even back off. So is that your sense as well? Will he have NATO's support for all of this?
I'm telling you, at this point, I don't know that he cares.
Yeah, that's probably true. Right.
I've also written that Europe just isn't as important as it used to be, and that Trump is changing our focus from what I would call an Atlanticist outlook to a more Pacificist outlook. We are now focused on the Indo-Pacific, and Europe just doesn't matter as much as it used to.
And it makes sense, certainly. Francis Sempa back with us. What would you say currently, and this is not the topic that we invited you for, but any thoughts on what's happening with Iran right now and how imminent something might be?
Yeah, I don't think Trump is going to strike quickly. I think he is looking to talk to Israel. He's looking, I believe, to talk with Iran and to get Iran to give up finally on its nuclear program. I don't think talk is going to work in the long run for Iran, but I also think Trump wants to work through Israel more than have the United States directly involved again. I've often compared what Trump is doing to the Nixon doctrine of the early 1970s, where Nixon said we might supply aid and supply help, but we want our allies in the region to do the bulk of the everyday detail when it comes to working against our common enemies.
And that makes sense. And Francis, you mentioned Israel. I even said this a little earlier today. Things just cycle out of the news so quickly, especially with this president. But we know that there was a ceasefire. You don't hear anything about Israel anymore, like nothing. So is there peace? Are they rebuilding? What is there any sense of what's going on?
It's a good point, and I believe Trump is meeting with Netanyahu, if not today, in the very near future. So no, I don't. As far as Gaza and the future of Gaza and so forth, you hear very little about that because other areas of the world, including our own domestic problems in Minnesota and other states, seem to be making the headlines. But that's a festering problem over there. But again, I will point out that I think the Trump administration's view is that the Middle East, like Europe, isn't as important as it used to be.
Interesting. Francis Sempa, who writes for Real Clear Defense. Great to have you back on. I appreciate it, Francis.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got road work on westbound 370 approaching 141, and we've had it most of the day. 2 right lanes blocked and a real jam going behind it. Now we've got an incident reported westbound 70 before Zumbel. Look for heavy traffic there. It goes back across the Blanchette Bridge. 64, moderate volume, but it's in pockets approaching Hampton out through 270 and again approaching Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70, I already told you about, but it's also a little slow at Wentzville. Southbound 270, moderate volume from Page to Doherty Ferry. And a southbound 170, a little bit of moderate volume right there at Olive. Now, if you are on 55, it's jammed, of course, at Bates and headed into Illinois. So if you are eastbound, we've got a jam that starts almost at Route 3 and carries through to 64 before it opens up. And eastbound 64, some moderate volume at 157. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Triton Exteriors. We take care of your home. It's that simple. Triton-STL.com. Home improvement projects can come with a lot of headaches. We save you time by offering packaged services that are easy to understand and based on your needs. We take care of the details so you don't have to. Visit us at Triton-STL.com. That's Triton-STL.com.
I think it was at our 97.1 FM Talk birthday party back in the fall where I first met Stuart Rosenblum, Stewie, as he's known. You heard Annie talking about him for years and his mortgage company here in St. Louis. And, look, I'll be honest, I've heard about the bagel loan. It sounds a little too good to be true. So I got to talking to Stewie, and you're going to find when you sit with him that the experience in getting a mortgage or refi is completely different. One of the reasons he gives out his cell phone, which is 314-324-4440. So it's a great time to pay no appraisal fees, no closing costs, no title fees, no broker fees, zero when you refinance with Stewie. Even if you've refinanced, and we were talking about this recently, over 3 years ago, it is time to look at that potentially again, especially with Stewart's American Mortgage, because they're going to save you thousands of dollars. If you're skeptical, and you could be, and you should be, I was skeptical, give him a call and ask how this works, because he can do things that some of the other mortgage brokers cannot do, even quick closes, as little as 10 days. Get with Stewie today. Google the bagel loan or call 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support Bourbon for Badges. Mark Cox here. It's hosted by the St. Louis Whiskey Society and the St. Louis Hero Network, February 27th at Tapawingo Golf Club. Get your tickets now at bourbonforbadges.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Drury, today, and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Drury Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120. Visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Sitting here having a discussion with Ethan because every once in a while, maybe it's a little bit more than every once in a while, Sue, if we're being honest, there are just weird hinky-jinky technical things that happen. And so if you're someone who depends on the X feed, to watch the show and to listen to the show, and to see how poorly I'm dressed on a regular basis. You can't apparently do that today, and I'm unable to retweet the feed to the show. It's on YouTube, so we do have the feed, but I think fewer people have access to it, and I can't really explain why, and Ethan couldn't explain why either. But usually we have, I sit here and I retweet it after Ethan puts it up because it's on the 97.1 FM Talk feed, and it's not on our Twitter page either, so I can't really explain why. There's a lot going on with the Nancy Guthrie case. We'll get back into that after the top of the hour this afternoon. There was, and if you're just joining us, this is really, really big news after nothing for about 9 or 10 days. There was some Ring doorbell, actually it's Nest, camera video that was released of a potential suspect. Certainly looks like someone who tried to do harm, that had a ski mask on, seems to have some facial hair. You could see a bit of a mustache, made an effort to keep his head down as long as possible, has gloves on that are very unique. And even the rest of the, Sue, there's I don't know if you'd call it a track jacket or the way that he's dressed from his waist up is a little unique. He's got a backpack. There's a gun that's visible. You can see shoes. The backpack in and of itself is relatively recognizable, and some of this video is really, really clear. And then there's some images that aren't as clear that are closer up to the cameras. Now, we don't know why it took this long to release these videos. It could have been a situation. I had one law enforcement person even weigh in with me this afternoon saying, maybe because we knew that the
camera was
subscription,
stolen.
Yeah, the camera was stolen, but also the subscription. Like on my ADT, this is how I found out my car was stolen. The first thing I did is I went to my ADT, which is constantly, taking pictures and video if there's movement, right? So the first thing I did that morning about 3.5 years ago is watch these two guys jump into our Lexus and, find the keys. We were nice enough to leave the keys and then get out with it. But I think you have to have, I'm paying ADT on a monthly basis for that, to have access to those pictures, right?
Right.
So in this case, you might have had to go and get a subpoena, which I wouldn't think would have taken this long. I don't know. There's still so many questions about this that are unanswered, but there certainly is activity. And then the other thing that happened today, which is just completely, you can't even explain it, that somebody ordered a Domino's pizza for one of the podcasters that's on the site, and the Domino's guy was given Nancy Guthrie's address, and he just right past all the cops and everybody else, just walked right up to the door with his pizza. So what do you even say about that? The other thing that's happening today on Capitol Hill, big ICE hearing with a lot of folks questioning Todd Lyons. And one of them was LaMonica MacGyver. Do you remember who Monica MacGyver was?
No.
She was the New Jersey congresswoman that got into it. This goes back probably 6 months with ICE officials in her state, and there was some shoving going on, and she was actually charged with a crime. Now, I can't remember what the end resolution to that was, but listen to her. And when I play this audio for you here this afternoon, you tell me that if you had a Republican on a committee, maybe someone who was a Southern Baptist or even a Catholic, I don't know, and they were questioning a witness on the other side aggressively, that they would ask them if they thought that they were going to hell, because that's what happened here today.
Let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government...
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend.
It's ridiculous.
The issues we're debating here are important to ones that members feel deeply about.
Thank you.
While vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum in debate. The witnesses are here voluntarily, and I will continue to remind members that while oversight is important, aggressively attacking those witnesses personally is inappropriate and not in keeping with the traditions of our committee.
How is that? It's not appropriate in any way, shape, or form. And that would be someone, this is where you get into some of the media bias stuff. There is no doubt, and I mean no doubt, that if a Republican did that it would be on CNN already. They would talk about it tonight on, the 6 o'clock show with Aaron Burnett. They talk about it with Abby Phillip. They'd be outraged that someone would say that insensitively to a Democrat member. But a Democrat like Monica MacGyver, who's already charged with crimes and should go to jail for what she did with the ICE officers, gets away with saying, do you think you're going to hell? It's ridiculous. Now, Todd Lyons did very well for himself this morning during this hearing.
The leadership of President Trump
and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, the men and women of ICE have been empowered to do exactly what they're trained to do: arrest and remove illegal aliens and criminals from our communities. We are enhancing public safety, securing our national security, and finally restoring integrity to the immigration system that had been allowed to collapse. We have supercharged our partnerships with state and local law enforcement, empowering officers around the country through the 287G program to help ICE identify and remove criminal aliens. Those partnerships have increased more than 900% since President Trump took office, and our communities are safer for it.
You know, I would argue, and this did not get a lot of attention today because of the Guthrie case. You know, this would be a hearing probably that would have aired live certainly on Fox if it wasn't for some of the other news. But he talked about some of the numbers and the math, because there has been some criticism on ICE and some different figures thrown out there as far as the percentages of illegals who are being rounded up who are actually violent criminals.
Since the beginning of the second Trump administration, we have achieved historic results. From January 20th, 2025 through January 20th, 2026, ICE has conducted nearly 379,000 arrests. Among those arrests were more than 7,000 suspected gang members and over 1,400 known as suspected terrorists. The president tasked us with mass deportation, and we are fulfilling that mandate.
I don't know if there is a continuation of that hearing this afternoon or not, but we will certainly keep you posted on that. We're going to take a break here for Fox News. When we return, I want to talk about Eileen Gu, who's one of the big Olympic stars for China, and that's because she's a traitor to the U.S., and she has been for 2 Olympics now. Matt Pauley's going to join us from spring training. Also, he's got an interesting story about flying down to Florida on Southwest the first time with the new seating rules.
Wait.
He tweeted about this last night, and I was quite interested in his reaction. David Strom from hotair.com, and it's Tech Talk Tuesdays with George Rosenthal at 5:32.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
MoDOT reporting a stalled out eastbound 70 just before 141, and they've moved it off to the shoulder. But we've got a vehicle fire reported westbound 44 past Business Six Flags Road. That, too, is on the shoulder. And that's a sort of evening we're having. There's also an accident northbound 141, a little bit past Dutch Mill, and they've got the left lane and the left shoulder blocked there. Now, southbound 55 is slow, headed down toward Bates in the construction zone. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at 270 and at Highway N. 370 westbound is jammed, headed for 141. That's due to road work. And if you're headed into Illinois, we've got slow-moving traffic on the Poplar all the way through 64. 64 westbound, actually no, that's eastbound, is a little bit slow at 157, again, due to road work. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Want a new home in Cottleville? Check out Cottleville Trails by McKelvey Homes. Take a golf cart or walk to downtown Cottleville. Visit McKelveyHomes.com today to learn more about the incredible homes in Cottleville Trails and move up to McKelvey.
Hey, I want you to do something for your home, and I want you to do it the right way. If you need new flooring, don't trust someone who has no experience, like at a big box store. I want you to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet at igotfloor.com with 3 great locations and open every day, except for Sunday. I've gotten to know Mike Reynolds over the years. They did a great flooring project in my home. I guess it goes back about a year and a half now. We're still working on some repairs to my downstairs carpet that the dog, the puppy, and the bunny has done. But look, Mike's there for you in the team. If you need new hard flooring, you need new carpeting like Mohawk, Silky Soft, some of the best in the industry with technology that really will blow you away. The way that you have stain resistance and on the hard flooring, scratch resistance that still looks beautiful, looks like real wood, and it probably isn't. They have the advanced technologies in flooring that you can ever imagine. And I've said this before, and Mike would agree, that just like anything else in our lives, the technology keeps getting better and better, and that means better products for you, and sometimes at lower prices to put into your home, and it's going to last a long time as well. So get with the team at Michael's. Again, they're open every day except for Sunday. Old Town St. Peter's, in Darden Prairie, and in West County on Olive. The website, igotfloor.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet. Tell them that I sent you in as well. Fox News coming up next.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing, not running out of money. And preparing for retirement can sometimes be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Find out how to build your retirement on your terms.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
Join host Steve All for the All Financial Hour, Saturday mornings at 6 or Saturday afternoon at 4, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, it's Mark Cox with Gloria Liu of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Welcome back, Gloria. For years now, you've been on 97.1 helping families plan that next big move with your Guaranteed Sold program. For those planning to sell their home this year, what's your advice for sellers?
Thank you. My advice is simple. Do your homework before listing your home. Our market is stabilizing, inventory is tightening and moving fast. In other words, the realtor you choose to sell your home really matters. That's why my sellers love my Guaranteed Sale program. I guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price and time frame, or I will buy it myself. I have thousands of buyers in my buyers in waiting database, so your home may already been sold before it's ever hit the market. Higher demand, more competition, and more money for your home.
Friends, do what I did. Call Gloria Liu right now at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree upon price and possession date.
Join us on February 15th at Powell Hall as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC brings us Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with special guests Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes and Kennedy Holmes. Experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty, that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Chilling new clue. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Surveillance footage from outside Nancy Guthrie's front door in Arizona shows someone approaching and appearing to tamper with the door camera, released by the FBI along with a renewed appeal for the public's help.
As Savannah Guthrie herself said, someone knows that person. If that is your husband, your brother, your uncle, even a good friend, you recognize that person just from the gait, from their size, from the eyes that we see up close, from the face behind the ski mask.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Tucson. The person is also wearing large gloves and what appears to be a holstered gun. The FBI director says that footage is from the morning that Nancy Guthrie went missing 10 days ago. Investigators also still going door to door, talking to neighbors of Annie Guthrie, another of Nancy Guthrie's children, a few miles away. A heated House hearing at times as Democrats slam immigration enforcement operations and the Homeland Security Secretary.
Secretary Noem is a liar with no concern for the lives of Americans killed by the department she runs. She must go.
Congressman Benny Thompson also calling a moment of silence for two protesters killed during confrontations with agents in Minneapolis. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Rodney Scott defending a surge of agents.
The reason you saw so many people surged into L.A. at one point and then now into Minneapolis was because we had to surge additional resources in to protect the ICE agents that were literally just going to try to make a lawful arrest.
This as Democrats push for ICE reforms as part of Homeland Security funding, which runs out Friday night if no deal is reached. President Trump just telling Fox Business Iran would be foolish if they don't make a deal. This ahead of more talks between the U.S. and Iran mediated by Oman. Tomorrow, the president has a White House meeting with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. America is listening to Fox News.
Honey, that flu keeping you up? Did you take NyQuil Intense Flu?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
Yeah, you need NyQuil Intense Flu.
Undo your flu with NyQuil Intense Flu. NyQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep.
You do got this.
NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching fever. Best sleep with the flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
No real weather concerns over the next couple of days, but our temperatures will be colder, but nothing extreme. Partly cloudy overnight tonight, 32. On Wednesday, lots of sunshine, but it's cooler than today by a good 10 to 15 degrees. The high 49, 50. Then on Wednesday night, some clouds, 33. Thursday, clouds and 47. And Friday, sunny skies, 54. We've got rain coming in here late Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Beautiful Tuesday afternoon in St. Louis. I don't know what the official high temperature will end up being, but I know that on my weather app, and you know those are always completely accurate, it said 70 degrees this morning out in the Fenton High Ridge area. It's just absolutely beautiful. It wasn't too windy, nice and warm. Of course, it won't last, but that's okay. We can still enjoy it while it does last. We've got new video images and pictures in the Nancy Guthrie case. We're going to go over that in more detail in about an hour here on 97.1 FM Talk. Matt Pauley's going to join us from Jupiter, Florida for spring training, but I also want to talk to him about his Southwest Airlines experience because he wrote a very detailed X or tweet, if you will, on that. Not all negative, by the way, but I thought it was interesting as someone who flies Southwest on a regular basis. Look, I do have a bit of an advantage, I think, because I'm a Southwest Chase card, holder. But man, everything I hear about this, people are not happy.
No, they really aren't.
Well, and for those of us, some people, I guess, maybe didn't like Southwest. I've always preferred Southwest.
Same.
And, but Matt will weigh in on this, though, at the bottom of the hour. You got George Rosenthal on Tech Talk Tuesdays coming up at 5:30. So last night, I did watch a fair amount of the Olympics. I was watching some of it here a short time ago, trying to turn away from it, Fred, because this is occurring live right now, and then they'll play some of the replays back tonight. But I was reminded of something last night that I remembered in the last Olympics, and it didn't click until, just now about Eileen Gu, because, Fred, you might remember that I was totally on top of this the last Olympics, right? Because she's such a traitor. So Eileen Gu, listen, they did this big puff piece on her on the Today Show here.
The high-flying women's competition featured American-born Eileen Gu, who competes for her mother's home country, China.
She claims silver, the fourth Olympic medal of her career. And Eileen is joining us now. Good morning, Eileen. Congratulations.
So the way to really introduce Eileen is, Eileen, good morning, you big traitor. Congratulations.
Hello, good morning. We are live here in Livigno.
It's so nice to have you with us. Congratulations on your second straight silver medal in slopestyle. You actually called it your best run ever. What is going through your mind? When did it feel like it was the best run?
I don't care. I really don't. Here's what I care about. When I saw her slip early in one of her runs, I cheered on the slip. I was so happy that she slipped and that she didn't get the gold. She's a reprehensible human being who takes advantage of our freedoms and liberties in this country and just cashes paycheck after paycheck after paycheck. Now, you might do the puff piece on the Today Show. That's fine. But I think it's more than fair, and they don't do this in any of the coverage, to point out, that not that she's American-born, that she has taken advantage of everything that this country has to offer her, not only in her life, but in her Olympic training. Okay?
Ooh.
So we're giving her all of the benefits, and then she is celebrating her allegiance with the Chinese Communist Party. I will have none of that. I think people need to know this. And there's a woman by the name of Melissa Chen who writes at The Spectator that I think took her down better than anyone else today. She says, I don't begrudge Americans who are butthurt about Eileen Gu's choice to ski under China's flag. Born and raised in San Francisco, then educated at Stanford, she was steeped in the freedoms and opportunities her Chinese immigrant mother fled to America to access over 3 decades ago. Why do you think she got the hell out of China? She wanted something better for her daughter, yet she betrayed the nation that nurtured her rise by choosing to compete for China instead, all the while critiquing the very system that enabled her ascent. It is this ingratitude that stings mostly. What she's done cuts to the core of a simmering resentment against the cosmopolitan ideal that nations are interchangeable playgrounds with no reciprocal obligations. I think this is important. And Melissa Chen says, look, I'm sure this was calculated opportunism on her part. She earns $23 million a year from her endorsements.
Oh.
And $23 million a year. Her portfolio consists of many Chinese brands and Western ones. She's able to capitalize on her cross-cultural appeal. And Melissa says also she's super hot. I mean, I'm not attracted really to Asian women, but I guess she's super hot for an Asian woman. But she goes, the world is changing and people are rightly questioning the myth of rootless globalism. She treats her own nation, our nation, as an optional backdrop to whom she owes no debt, where she continues to this day to live and train and only to pledge allegiance then to her glory elsewhere for personal gain. I think it's disgusting. And look, I talked to my daughter about this last night. I called her a traitor, and I explained to Alexa why she's a traitor and why I'm so offended by Eileen Gu. And I'm not only offended by Eileen Gu because Eileen Gu is Eileen Gu, but I cannot believe that NBC announcers or that no one in the legacy media call this crap out because it's ridiculous.
Well, you know what she's saying? She says she's trying to inspire young Chinese girls to ski because it's not popular in that country. That's her response.
Yeah. She should ask the Uyghurs if they have a good, Olympic skiing program that they can participate in. I mean, it's not like another nation. It's not like an American, not an American, but even a hockey player from Norway or whatever going to play for their team. That's a very different situation. We're talking about one of the most, the biggest human rights violator on the planet in the Chinese Communist Party.
Yep.
Who's trying to, have as much influence. Look, they're using her for propaganda.
Yeah.
For propaganda purposes, and it's
She's
working.
letting it.
So I just think that people need to know about that. I think you should tell your kids that Eileen Gu is a traitor because that's exactly what she is, and it's I was so happy that she screwed up. Sorry, I had to root against her. Was there another Olympic thing that I was going to do, Fred?
How was the curling? Have you seen it yet? I think of you every time I see it.
Well,
Come on.
I've watched a little bit during the day. I think that the big deal there is that we do have, an American couple that is basically going for gold. Now, this brings me to another topic because this guy's name is Rich Ruhanen, and he's a curler. And he's talking about, because they're all being asked questions about politics in the U.S., right?
So I like to say I'm proud to be here to represent Team USA and to represent our country. But we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention what's going on in Minnesota and what a tough time it's been for everybody. This stuff is happening right around where we live. And I am a lawyer, as you know, and we do we have a constitution, and it allows us to freedom of the press.
Okay, so he's going to give a little lecture there to the media there about freedom of the press and everything else. How about something like this? Because this is what the Olympics used to be for us, and we've lost it. I mean, Fred, you've been around. Maybe you might remember. I remember 72 the first time. I was 7 years old, so I don't really remember before that. 76 was Bruce Jenner, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was a big. I mean, that was big.
72 was Munich.
Right, 72 was Munich, and then 80 was Miracle on Ice, and you remember these things. You can go through these Olympics. You start thinking about Mark Spitz probably was, 72, 76, all these big names, Dorothy Hamill, right? And then you get into the 80s with big stars. We don't have those stories. And unfortunately, the best story we have is a traitor. I mean, honestly, she does have a great story. I get it. But she's a traitor to this country, which is my issue with her. But how about more of this? I mean, this is what we want. This is what I want at the Olympics. And we got two St. Louisans that are doing us proud right now, and Matthew and Brady Tkachuk. And they're really, really classy guys, right?
I mean, this is being able to represent the U.S. at this stage in the Olympics is one of the greatest honors that I've ever had. So I'm truly grateful to be here representing the red, white, and blue.
I think it kind of means the world. It's really like a whirlwind of emotions, flying here this morning, hanging out in the village all day, and then getting fitted for our clothes, and just meeting athletes, and then coming here and practicing, and now it's all like, oh my gosh, like day one's over. Like, it's kind of crazy. So really enjoying the experience so far and having a lot of fun.
USA Hockey actually just posted this great picture with the Tkachuks from right here in St. Louis, as you know, Matthew and Brady with the quad god. Ilya Malinin, the great skater, they were just with him a short time ago, and they put a great picture
that's cool.
up there. But those are the kind of stories I want to hear from the Olympics. And unfortunately, Michaela Schifrin kind of, like I said, pooped the bill. We don't have great stories emerging with U.S. Olympic athletes, unfortunately. Women's hockey hockey, I would keep an eye on that. USA men's hockey as well. I love the women's hockey rivalry with Canada, though, too. That's pretty intense. So there are things to cheer about, but obviously some things maybe to cheer against as well. Fred, tell us who we're going to have at 5:04 because we shifted gears a little bit because of the Nancy Guthrie case, right?
Yeah, I saw him on Fox News about 90 minutes ago, and he was so good. His name is Morgan Wright. He's the founder and CEO of a group called the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes over the videotape, frame by frame, tells you what you see when you see the eyebrows, the possible mustache, the gait, the gloves.
Oh, this is
all
going to be
sorts
good.
of stuff.
I'm
So
going to
he'll be great.
I'm going to be relatively surprised if we're not sitting here tomorrow at this time and we don't have someone in custody. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not a done deal, but this is huge today what they released. And the only real question would be why did it take so long? And maybe he can help us with those answers. That's
I'd
coming
love
up
that.
after 5 o'clock. Hey, we got Matt Pauley from Spring Training coming up at 4:30. Sue's News is next.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a couple of jams this afternoon. One is westbound 370 approaching 141 where they've got the right lanes down for road work. And eastbound traffic on the Poplar Street Bridge just jammed as you head for 64. Once you get to 64, things open up. We've got 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch grounds in the depressed section. We've got westbound 6440 slowing Kings Highway out through McCausland at 270, and then in pockets west of Winghaven out through the 70 split. This report is brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tired of mice? Point Pest Control finds their entry points, eliminates the infestation, and seals them out for good with our exclusion services. Mention Annie to get 10% off on top of any other special. Call 636-798-0023. Visit Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
One of the great things I love about the Missouri Athletic Club, and this start of the year is another great example of this, they're always doing fun, unique things. So, for example, they just introduced this on March 9th at the West Clubhouse, and I hang out there a little bit more than downtown. You can join the Military History Club for the showing of The Monuments Men. Remember that movie with George Clooney? He directed that in 2014, and there's no charge to attend this. It's MHC, Missouri Athletic Club Movie Night and Military History Club Movie Night, MHC Movie Night, on Monday, March 9th. They have this. I might get my daughter involved in this because this is for the kids, and they're doing this art workshop where the kids can kind of do a self-portrait inspired by Picasso. And that's unique. I haven't seen that one on the schedule before. And there's a pickleball championship coming up. The tournament begins on April 22nd. I might have to get a partner for that. I'm still trying to get Becky out on the pickleball court a little bit more often. I don't think she's quite ready to compete. Not that I am, but we'll find out. We'll find out everything more about the Missouri Athletic Club at mac-stl.org.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Mark Cox here. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the 97.1 special.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsend. Many of our clients are victims of negligent drivers. They put their trust in us, and we help them recover physically and financially. Their words carry more weight than ours.
They guided me through every step of the legal process with clarity and expertise, ensuring that I always felt informed and supported.
Injured? Call Kaufman Townsley. It costs you nothing to call, but may cost you everything if you don't. Call 314-777-7777.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you're considering buying or selling a home, when it comes to choosing the Gelman team with eXp Realty, numbers don't lie. Over 1,500 Google and Zillow 5-star reviews, nearly 6 6,000 homes and $2.5 billion in real estate sold. 314-336-1991, thegelmanteam.com.
You know your customers. Ralph likes his coffee black on Fridays, but Mondays he takes a little cream. Jennifer comes in every 3 years when her lease is up to get the newer and better model. And for some reason, pepperoni pizza sells like crazy on Friday nights. Who knew? At Odyssey, we have the expertise to get your media plan done right. With ads like you're hearing right now, to targeted social media campaigns, search engine optimization, and location-based advertising. Advertise with Odyssey and help us grow your business. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
I was telling you guys, my daughter's been down with, flu-like symptoms, 101 fever. One of her little friends that she was swimming with over the weekend has that. I bring it up because I think it's kind of working its way through the area, maybe across the country. It's maybe like even the real flu. And the real flu is no fun. It lingers. It lasts for a couple of days. It's not where you have a stomach virus where you're, vomiting or diarrhea. It's more upper respiratory. But she has this thing that she does on Wednesday mornings. Not that she would go tomorrow anyway because she's been under the weather, but it's called Stanton Singers. And the teacher for that just sent an email out that said, I have the flu. So be careful out there. I'm not saying mask up, but I think this is going around quite a bit. Sue, you ready for Sue's News?
I am.
Let's do it here. Or maybe not.
I am.
There he is.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
How did it go with Alexa and chicken banana? Did you give it to her? Chicken banana.
I did, and she knew it. She was aware of it.
Oh, she already knew.
Yeah.
We can't win.
Yeah.
We think we're great.
Yeah.
We're going to get one up. We got nothing. Happy National Flannel Day, Fred. Does Joyce buy you any flannel?
Oh, yes. I have
she does?
Several flannel shirts.
Oh, that's very nice. It's also National Umbrella Day and National Cream Cheese Brownie Day. And I'll tell you what, they put a picture of that cream cheese brownie up there. It looked doggone delicious. I'm not going to eat the chocolate, or the sugar, but it sounds delicious. Okay, on this day in history, 48 years ago, we got some music. Because in 1978, Van Halen's self-titled debut album was released.
Legendary. Bought this one right away, 12, 13 years old. I was pretty early in on Van Halen, although...
That's impressive.
I think a lot of people were, for sure. And then you have all these videos that are circulating, like on Instagram, of David Lee Roth. And
oh dear,
it's not good these days, right?
No, it is not. Well, this album, of course, has this one, Jamie's Crying, but it's also got "You Really Got Me," Running with the Devil, and Ain't Talking About Love. It's a good album. 48 years old though today. Woo!
I always kind of go to Women and Children First as my favorite Van Halen record, which was, I think, 82.
What's on there?
81. Oh, geez, what is that? There's the Sue's News. On Women and Children First has got, now I'm going to draw a blank on the names, but that was the early record after Van Halen 2, and then there was the one with Panama and all that stuff.
Yeah, Panama, and that was
1984.
1984. Fred, Van Halen, yes, no?
I came to them late. I wasn't on them as early as Mark was.
That's fair. Were you still there? Was it still David Lee Roth?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
See,
that's
I'm not a Sammy
counts.
guy. The whole Sammy Hagar thing, I will tell you, that caught me off guard. When I moved here to St. Louis and I was 14 years old, I had no idea who Sammy Hagar was because in Chicago, they didn't play Sammy Hagar on the radio on WLUP, so it was more of a regional thing. Right.
Yeah. That is true. Did you see that Eddie Bauer has filed for Channel 11. Channel 11 bankruptcy. It's a new thing.
Eddie Bauer's doing a new show on PBS here in St. Louis. It's going to be great. No, that's Channel 9, isn't it? Channel 11 was the PBS station in Chicago.
Yes. But it sounds like this is their third time doing so in the last 20 years. I first of all, I did not realize that Eddie Bauer started in Seattle as a fishing shop. Did you know that?
Did not know that.
And
makes sense, though.
It does. It was founded in 1920. And in fact, in World War II, Eddie Bauer made sleeping bags and what was brand new and innovative back then, down jackets for the military. And that's how the whole thing began. But they say the brand needs a buyer or it will have to close its stores in the U.S. and Canada. Apparently, they have them elsewhere, but they might be franchises. There's some kind of difference there. So hopefully there's a buyer for Eddie Bauer. 1920, come on. First down jackets and for the military. That's cool. All right, have you seen the Chat GPT caricature trend going around? Mark, have you seen that? It's all over social media.
What
Fred?
is it?
It's you put into here. Well, let me describe it. You ask Chat GPT to draw a caricature based on everything it knows about you, and people apparently are shocked.
Okay. No,
You've seen these on your feed.
I've seen them on Facebook. Yes.
You might need to upload a photo first. I thought you should try it, Mark, and we could look at it because
Okay.
you'd have so much stuff. You'd have the bunny in there and all kinds of stuff. You might need to upload it, and then you say a standard prompt everybody uses is create a caricature of me and my job based on everything you know. Like Fred would have folders if we put him up there. It should spit out a decent drawing. The part blowing people's minds is all the little details. It might have your dogs in there, or if you're a Disney adult. I didn't even know that was a phrase. I read that today, and I thought, well, Annie is one, but a Disney adult. Or that you love true crime. And experts say there is, I suppose, a little bit of risk, especially if you feed more info into it to get a good pick, because then they get more info on you. There was a cybersecurity expert who told Forbes he's worried about people sharing personal info without fully considering how the data might be used or retained. I guess OpenAI could burn you down the road or leak it or something.
So that must be something we could ask George Rosenthal about
Yes.
today at 5:30, Mark.
That's a good one.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about with George at 5:30. There's no doubt. That's Tech Talk Tuesdays coming up in a little bit more than an hour.
Sharing the image online comes with risks. I guess if you put your pet's name out there, which I do, somebody could try to steal your identity based on your pet's name. How's that going to happen? But I guess if I used it in a password, guess what? I didn't.
To me, it just looks like it's a little bit more of a detailed selfie type thing. We've seen images that are created like that, but this seems more detailed.
Yeah,
right?
it's really detailed.
I'm
I still want you to
I'm
try
a little
it.
weirded out by it, but maybe I'll try it.
Okay, maybe Fred, do you have social media? I mean,
I have an X.
Okay, all right, that counts. You never
On
look
Facebook.
at it? Do you ever? No, okay. Australia has a controversial new contact sport. I have never heard anything so stupid. Okay. It's called the Run National Championship, the RNC. Here it is. 2 competitors stand at opposite sides of a mat and run towards each other to collide head-on with the purpose of knocking the other one down. Okay, there's actual sound to it, Mark, if you could play it.
That is textbook.
What in the heck?
What are they doing?
They just run at each other. The clash usually ends with the winner still standing and shouting, and the loser reeling on the ground, disoriented.
Do they have any protective gear on?
I don't know. I should have looked up the video. That's a good point. It just sounds crazy. Run Nation co-founder and CEO Tremaine Fernandez admits that the risk of concussions and other serious injury exists. You think?
I don't know. Does it seem any more crazy than MMA sort of stuff?
Well,
No, probably not, Fred, if you think about it that way.
If you run right at each other?
That's insane.
That is just complete
No,
insanity.
it doesn't make that makes no sense. So now I want to find out more about it because it doesn't make any sense.
They call it RNC if you want to look it up. But his organization says you really have to make sure there are professionals on the sidelines ready to intervene. Well, that's because it's what?
To pick up your teeth.
Fred. By the way, what is your favorite Olympics sport that you are currently watching, Fred Bottomheimer?
Oh.
Bottomheimer.
I like
How about
figure
old Fred
skating.
Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen?
Huh?
Figure skating.
Really? Still? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark, you're still
No, I
curling?
still think no. I mean, curling is just something I will watch because if it's on, then I get kind of captivated by it. But right now, I really like the skiing, and I'll watch.
Same.
When they get to the snowboarding, that's pretty impressive.
Do we know
they're
when
doing
that
stuff.
is?
That usually comes, I think, toward the second half after all the skiing. But I
The
could be wrong
half
about
pipe?
that.
I love that. Okay. Okay, and here's another random thing. A would-be thief was caught in a field when a herd of llamas surrounded him, started belting out loud noises. Now, I actually have some sound. There's the owner of the llamas, Heidi Price, talking about their crime-fighting capture.
I came home from work with police cars all over the road. Someone came out and said to me, "Hide your llamas, they're heroes." And apparently there'd been somebody who was being apprehended by the police, and they'd run off, they'd escaped. And the llamas, who work as a herd animal, one of them noticed it. They gave a warning cry out to the others. They all came and they circled this fugitive, and they started releasing this huge alarm call, which it sounds like an old man laughing.
An old man laughing is what llamas sound like in an alarm call.
Sort of like the Minneapolis whistle.
Yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And somehow, I just could picture that, and it's funny in my head. I have no idea if they have video of it. But I have today's random fact, which also involves llamas. Llamas are no fault in Georgia. According to Georgia law, anyone injured or killed by a llama or when working with llamas is not allowed to sue because they have assumed the risk.
Oh, come on. That's great. Like one of those old blue laws on the books, probably.
Exactly.
There you go.
I'm Dan Loney with Your Money Now. Wall Street saw another record close for the Dow Industrials today in a mixed session. The Dow up 52 points, ending the day at 50,188, the third consecutive day with a record close. NASDAQ lost 136 points, and the S&P 500 was up by 23. XAI co-founder Tony Wu has resigned from the startup, saying on X that it is, quote, time for my next chapter, end quote. This adds to the list of founding members who have also left. The company was launched with Elon Musk in 2023, along with 11 other people to compete with OpenAI and Google. Music streaming platform Spotify saw its shares up 15% today after a strong quarterly report. Earnings per share and revenue for the Swedish company were both solid beats. Monthly active users rose 11% to 751 million. Paid subscribers up 10% to 290 million. That's Your Money Now.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. All your roles, fill them sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Sue's going to talk about a great sponsor, but there is a little bit of development here. They're reporting, Jonathan Hunt from Fox is reporting that the SWAT team has departed the sheriff's department in Tucson, Arizona. That is very significant. We had new images and video that came out, and I've heard Jonathan and others say when that SWAT team is deployed, that's go time. So they may be coming in on a suspect very, very quickly. We're going to keep you posted on that.
Oh, that's awesome. Most people, I think most of us, spend a lot of time saving money for retirement, which is great. But the key to retirement is having that money last for your entire life. And if you don't really know or have a handle on how that works, like how do taxes work in retirement? When should you take Social Security? There are tips and tricks that the average person does not know. And that is where financial and tax architects come in. And what they do is teach you how things work. They have a class called Retirement Planning 101. It's 90 minutes now. It's just one night, and it will teach you a lot of that so you kind of have a feel for how things work and then can make rational decisions on what you want to do. Because at FTA, they will help you come up with a written plan for your retirement. If you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, just go to a class. 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101. The class is free, and you won't regret it.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking, guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no surprise that the recent Realtor settlement has only empowered us to continue offering our sellers even better rates. We now list homes for only 2%. Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Call me, 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 2? You can also listen to my podcast on my website, straightrealty.com.
Commissions are not regulated and are negotiable. Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
4:33. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
From Collinsville to Chesterfield, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we have spring training starting in Jupiter, Florida, and Matt Pauley from the Cardinals Radio Network and the other side of the building, Don on KMOX, is joining us from Jupiter this afternoon. Hello, Mr. Pauley. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I barely even get to see you. We kind of work on opposite ends of the schedule, and I rarely even get to say hi to you, but I know you're down there in Florida. But before we get to baseball, you had a great tweet or X last night about your Southwest Airlines flight that I found very interesting. I have not flown under the new rules yet, and this was the first time for you, correct?
Yeah, it was. Coming down here yesterday was my first time, and I premise everything. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Southwest and the open seating policy. So the people who are really upset about it probably start from a different position than I
like
was
me.
ever in.
That's interesting because I love it, and I've loved the open seating. So I really have never had a problem with it. I've always liked the service better, the smiles better, all of that on Southwest. Now I understand that hasn't been the favorite of some people, but so your experience was, and did you have a full plane or not?
No, I didn't. That was actually part of the thing. So there was about 65 open seats, and I bought a fare where I could at least choose my seat because I'm a big dude. I didn't want to get stuck in a middle seat.
Right.
So I chose an aisle seat. When I sat down in my seat, all 3 spots were filled in the row, yet there was literally like 10 rows behind me with maybe 2 total people. So I said, well, before we even boarded, the person at the gate said, you can change seats, but you have to tell a flight attendant first. So as I'm sitting down, I see the flight attendant. I'm like, hey, is it cool if I just sit 1 row back? Literally 1 row behind me had nobody in it. And they said, you can't change seats until we're up in the air. So about 15, 20 minutes into the flight, he came and tapped on my shoulder and said I could move seats. But it seemed kind of silly that all those seats were there.
Make? I've changed seats before we're in the air. I mean, I don't know if they were doing the Sklar. I don't know if you saw Randy and Jason Sklar. The Sklar brothers kind of tweeted about something similar to this over the weekend too, where they were all in like 7 rows and there was nobody else on the plane and they wouldn't let them move, which I thought was weird. Because let me tell you something, I was on Southwest flights numerous times during the pandemic, and maybe no more than 20, 25 people, and we could sit wherever we wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't care at all. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't buy them because they say, wait and bow. We've been sitting wherever we wanted to sit on these planes for 40 years. And now because they changed the rule, me moving my seat 1 back is going to impact the weight on the plane. Like, it's idiotic.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Hey, I am curious about one thing. We usually can't say this. I'm not so sure it might not be warmer in St. Louis than Jupiter, Florida today. You probably still got us, but it was like 70 here earlier today.
I'm at 73
right
now.
There you
we
go.
have you by just a little bit.
Yeah,
but, we got up to 77, I think, today. It's more humid here, though. Like I got a pretty good sweat walking from the to the car to the Cardinals facility.
All right, Matt. So you've covered many a spring training for both the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of a different feeling to this one just because of the rebuild, right?
Well, I think 2 things are going on. First off, the complex looks completely different. They did all kinds of things to the complex and built buildings and all kinds of things. So there's just the fact that there's new buildings here kind of makes it feel a little bit more exciting. There's some newness to it, but that doesn't impact what's on the field. It's still a little. I think there's a lot of young guys who think the team is going to be better than maybe people in the outside world think they're going to be. And, there's a reason the term hope springs eternal exists. I don't think the idea that this team may not be very good has yet gotten into the walls of the Cardinals spring training
That's
complex.
good because they should have that fire. I hope that, and we don't know. It could be better than the last couple of years. You just never know what comes together, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how this team's going to score runs. That's the biggest thing. They're offensively, they need guys to step up. They lost one of their best hitters in Wilson Contreras. But from a pitching standpoint, I already think the starting rotation is better now than it was at any point last year. You don't have Eric Fetty. You don't have Miles Michaelis. You may not have Andre Palante. And if Palante makes it in the rotation, it's because he beat 3 other guys to get there. So that means he's probably not pitching the way he did in the second half of the season last year. So I'm a big believer in starting pitching wins you games. And I like the starting pitching this year for the Cardinals a lot more than I like last year.
Obviously, there's a lot of buzz about J.J. Weatherholt. Thoughts on that?
I think he has to play himself off the team for him not to be the opening day second baseman, and that just be his job moving forward. I think the Cardinals have their middle infield taken care of for a while with Weatherholt and Wynn up the middle. Now he's still a really young guy. If he comes out and struggles in spring and it's obvious that he's not quite ready to make the club, then you send him to Memphis. You let him, conquer Memphis again, and you eventually get him up. But I would say, there's got to be like a 90% chance that J.J. Weatherholt's the opening day second baseman for the Cardinals.
What is his strength? Because he doesn't look like a guy that's got a lot of pop, but he seems to have a lot of power, doesn't he?
He's not going to be a 30 home run guy, at least not early on in his career. He probably profiles out as 20 to 25, but that's pretty good on this team because last year the leader was 20 home runs with Wilson, with Alec Burleson. But he hits for average. He's going to hit a lot of doubles, hits the ball really, really hard. That hit tool that he has that has followed him along everywhere, it's almost a guarantee. Like there's not a lot of guarantees in sports, but when you look at his skill set, it very much transitions to Major League Baseball, where he should be able to hit from very early on in his career.
Matt Pauley, I know that there's been some players down there the last couple of days, today as well, some through today. But the official report date and the first workout is on the 13th. Is that correct?
What's the date today? Today's the 10th. So, okay, so
first workout, right? The 13th?
I believe it's the 12th because tomorrow is we've had the voluntary report date for WBC pitchers and catchers. Okay. That was yesterday. Today, guys were out doing stuff. Tomorrow is the official pitchers and catchers report date. And then the day after that will be the first official workout on Thursday.
So I know that, I guess the player that I saw throwing a bullpen today was Durangelo Senja, the new switch pitching prospect, which he threw both with the left and right, which was pretty cool. But let me ask you this. What should fans expect these next few days to look like, where it is mostly just going to be pitchers and catchers that the attention is going to be on?
Yeah, it's a lot of playing catch. That's a Mike Claiborne term right there, and I think there's some truth to it. I mean, it's guys getting loose and it's guys letting it rip for the first time, and there'll be some position players in here, and there might be an opportunity for a live BP here and there with the guys who are here. But for the first few days, it's just about guys getting on the mound and getting their work in more than anything else.
There certainly is quite a few pitching prospects this year. I think you look at what Chaim Bloom has added since last trade deadline, and there certainly has been a very specific goal, it seems. Is there anyone from the minor league level, the prospect perspective, that you are intrigued to watch going into this upcoming spring?
That's it. So I don't know. And I'm not trying to avoid the question. The obvious answer is Liam Doyle. He's not going to be part of Major League camp. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe every once in a while he gets brought up for a spring training game and pitches an 8th or a 9th inning. But he's going to mostly be in minor league camp, and minor league camp is still a few weeks away from getting underway. Yeah, I want to see Senja just like you. I mean, that's just the idea of a guy who can throw with both arms, and wonder whether or not they want to utilize that in some sort of creative way, because I think he's going to be a right-hander as a starter, but is there a place for him to use that left arm? That's going to be an interesting question. there's a bunch of guys. Packy Naughton told the media today that he is fully healthy for the first time since 2023. I know that's not a minor league guy, but that's a guy who could impact the major league bullpen. So it's more about the sum of the parts and not so much the individuals at this point. I'll be interested to see who starts to step forward, and all the guys that the Brandon Clarks and all the guys that they've got in here since the end of last year, even a Richard Fitz who's going to be in competition for rotation spots. Just the guys that I've not laid eyes on are the ones that I'll be interested to see.
The pattern has been over the last few years, maybe this pattern is going to change a little bit. We love to sign former Cardinals that maybe can't even contribute anymore. But I've heard Tommy Pham and Randall Grichuk's name being mentioned for potential one-year deals. Is that something that you've heard buzz about, or is that even a possibility?
I haven't heard Pham as much, and I don't think he's a fit. As much as I love Tommy Pham, I think he's going to want to come somewhere and play every single day. And they need somebody who can swing from the right side and be very comfortable being a platoon player in the outfield. That might be Randall Grichuk. I think that's probably as good of a fit as exists out there right now on the free agent market, because they want that right-handed bat. But the big thing is finding a veteran who is very comfortable with being a platoon guy and playing half the games.
Do you still think that that's the direction that they'll? I guess left field is really the spot that is in question right now, because we don't know what the status of Lars Nootbaar is currently because of the recovery from the surgery on the heels this offseason. Do you think that do you still expect them to find something on the market somewhere, or do you think that that's something maybe that they could plug in-house until Nootbaar is healthy?
I think they'd like to find somebody, a right-handed bat. Now, there's been a ton of guys who made a lot of sense that have come off the board. Austin Hayes made sense. Andujar made sense, and they didn't sign them. So every day that goes by, you get a little closer to them not going out and making an outside acquisition. But I think there's a lot of questions marks. Lars Nootbaar's health, Victor Scott II's ability to hit, Jordan Walker's ability to hit. I think there's very little settled in the outfield, and the only real security blanket you have is the fact that if push comes to shove, you could take Alec Burleson and put him in the outfield and then put somebody else at first base for sure. But I think they still need another right-handed bat for sure.
I just think from the perspective of you and Tom Ackerman and some of the folks that head down there, this is going to be a fascinating spring training to cover, I think.
Yeah, there are storylines galore, and that makes it fun. And there's no reason not to hope and dream a little bit here in the early going. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this thing plays out.
The fans are realistic here. We're educated, right? We understand there's a rebuild, so there's certainly going to be patience. But on the other hand, you got to put something that's not completely embarrassing. And look, they did that for the first half of the season last year. We were engaged, if we're being honest, until the All-Star break, and then it all kind of fell apart from there.
Yeah, and I don't think the final record this year is going to be that far off from last year. And you think about only 3 or 4 or 5 games, were the difference between the Cardinals and the Reds were the final team to make it to the playoffs. I'm not sitting here predicting that the Cardinals are going to be a playoff team this year, but if some things fall right, and if some guys, especially offensively, take some steps forward this year, and it's the exact same guys we were talking about last year. It's Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman. So I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but we know the underlying numbers on these guys. We know what the ceiling is, and if they ever start to take steps towards that ceiling, I think this season could be very similar to last year, and then all of a sudden you're a win here or a win there from still being in playoff contention at the deadline.
All right, Matt Pauley, well, thanks for jumping on here this afternoon. You have fun down there. We will check in from time to time, and we'll see what develops in Jupiter, Florida.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. I knew what time it was until about maybe 5 seconds ago when the clock right in front of me started going crazy again. Can I trust any of them, Ethan?
Oh.
Honestly, God, this one just went out on me again.
Did it seriously?
Unbelievable. Yeah, it did.
Boy.
Oh, now it came back. It says 4:46:27.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. That's right.
If you haven't been following our Fun with the Clocks in the 97.1 FM Talk studio, yesterday, the one that Ethan is standing by right now, like the traditional clock with hands and arms, that was going backwards for a time yesterday. The digital clock behind me was like 20 seconds off, and the digital clock in front of me was a few seconds off. I think it's synchronized now.
Yeah, we're good.
I think.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got a stall southbound 55 at Germania. Watch for that one in the right lane. And there is a real jam headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. If you're headed there, I would go ahead and take any other bridge downtown. And the 64 jam starts around 7th Street. Westbound lines up Kings Highway out through McCausland in pockets from Lindbergh out through 70. We still have a jam westbound 370 approaching 141. There is road work there. 70 westbound, moderate volume Jennings Station Road past the airport. And at K, southbound 270 has moderate volume too. And that's Page down through Gravois. And other than that, we're okay. We told you about 55 in Germania. It's also slowing at Bates. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis. It's full of the latest, most custom designs. It's in Chesterfield Valley, and there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I know that Bob and Tammy Kershaw, I think, were on with Annie earlier this afternoon talking about our first seminar with the Retirement Advisory Group. I think they're going to swing by my show tomorrow. They are leading the charge for our first How to Create a Worry-Free Retirement event, this time at the Doubletree by Hilton in Chesterfield, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. Believe it or not, and this is hard to believe, I really can't believe we're Tuesday the 10th. The 17th is next Tuesday already. So all you have to do, we do 5 a year, off to maybe a little bit of a later start, and I think that was good because of the weather. But you just have to let us know that you're coming. These are free events. We just have to have a spot for you. So if you go to retirementkey.com, you'll see right on the front page a tab that says register, and you can absolutely get signed up for that event, 6:30 p.m. next Tuesday night. It also says rather meet one-on-one. If you'd prefer to do that, no obligation. You can schedule a meeting on the same tab or call 993-9494. So we'd love to see you at the Doubletree next Tuesday night. Again, free event, not a big time commitment. You're going to learn some things like safely linking to the market, how to lock in your gains with the Retirement Advisory Group. They're the official financial planners of this show. Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw and Tammy, his wife, the Retirement Advisory Group. All this week, the Mark Reardon Show has your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Kid Rock Freedom 250 Tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater on May 15th.
Take care.
Free tickets. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son Mike. In addition to the comp case, there is a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
The Mark Reardon Show is St. Louis Conservative.
There does seem to be a little bit of activity in the aftermath of some new video and pictures that were released in the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. I mean, there was Nest doorbell camera that was very, very clear of someone with a mask on. You could see the eyes. You could even see maybe that the person had a mustache. They were clearly trying to stay out of the view of the cameras. In fact, at first was approaching the door with the head pointed down. Now, we also know that there was blood that came out of that home, and now they're saying that blood trail led all the way to where the driveway was. It doesn't really lend itself to the theory of a kidnapping necessarily, because there's been no follow-up and, direct demands outside of what, Harvey Levin and the local TV station in Tucson have been reporting. I mean, I suppose it could still be a kidnapping and maybe more than one person is involved. But here's what's also interesting. It does seem, based on the video and the images that came out, that someone's going to recognize this person. And then about 15 minutes ago, we had a report from Jonathan Hunt at Fox that the SWAT team was being activated. That could be very significant because they may be moving in on a suspect. We're going to find a little bit more out about that after the top of the hour. I had someone ask me because I went off on Eileen Gu earlier this hour, who is, an American who is playing for the Chinese in the Olympics. She's a skier and a very successful one of the best on the planet. And somebody said, well, how come a Chinese woman is a traitor, but not the hockey guys on, the Russian team, et cetera? Well, first of all, Russia does not have a team. They are banned from the Olympics. They were banned from the last Summer Olympics. They can compete as individuals, but not for their nation. So that's a bad example. But the difference is very clear. It's very simple. She was born here. She took advantage of our training facilities, our system, our education. She wasn't born in China. Her mom was born in China, right? These are hockey players in many instances and other athletes that were not born in this country. They were born in the country that they are going to play for. So that's the big difference. She's an effing traitor. They're not. And the other difference is, like, let's say you're a hockey player and you decide you want to play for Norway. Norway or Finland, some of these other countries, France, I can keep listing them, pretty much every country on the planet, except for some in South America. They're not the biggest human rights violators. They don't have labor camps.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a little difference there between Eileen Gu and who she decides to cash the checks from, $23 million worth of endorsements, when she's taken advantage of our system the entire time, and then she wants to go play for the communists. So
Yep, that's it. That's
my,
it in a nutshell.
I don't think it's that difficult, but I guess some people are, having some trouble getting their arms around it, where it shouldn't be that hard at all. All right, we're going to take a break here at the top of the hour. One thing that I think piggybacks on the Savannah Guthrie stuff is George Rosenthal is going to join us for Tech Talk Tuesdays. By the way, he created an awesome little, would you call it? It's not really an emoji, but he did an AI picture of he and I kind of talking at a microphone.
Oh, that's great.
So we were
just talking.
Yeah, we're going to blast that out on the socials here. But we want to talk about some of this stuff related to the Nest videos and why it took so long. Also, when I hear Harvey Levin talk about the Bitcoin address, they keep refreshing it and they keep wondering if there's money that's going into there or some of those other particulars that have been associated with this case. It gets very confusing. And I think George will be able to sort some of that stuff out. I had another topic for him today, too, that I'd have to think about. But we do this with George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. We were going to do it every other Tuesday. I think we're doing it every Tuesday just because there's so much to talk about. Morgan Wright is coming up, though, at the top of the hour. He was on Fox a little earlier today. He's the founder and the CEO of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. He is an absolute expert on this. He'll relate what he sees in the video and the pictures. The gloves were very unique. It looks like maybe there's a mustache involved. Sometimes they talk about gait. You can see that the guy is of average height and weight and how he's walking. Right. Yeah. The video is very, very clear. It's about as clear as you can get from one of those doorbell cameras, I would say. But he has a mask on and a lot of clothing. But the clothing, again, could be recognizable as well. So that's all coming up here after the top of the hour, plus an audio cut of the day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got some issues out there. And if you are on southbound 55, it's the usual volume. So that's south of Arsenal down through Bates. We've got southbound 270 with just the usual volume, too. And it's this time from Page in pockets down through Gravois. But we have a serious jam if you're headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. Take any of the other bridges. This jam starts near 9th Street, continues through 64. Westbound 70, moderate volume Jennings Station Road, in pockets out through 40. We've got westbound 370, though, really lined up due to road work as you approach 141. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I think I've been in the home that I currently live in about 8 or 9 years at this point. Might be even approaching 10 years, but I bring it up because the first couple of years in the house, I had my hot tub. I moved it from the other house, and I had to walk around a considerable distance to get to the hot tub. And then one day I was thinking, you know what? There's a window right there. I bet that we could have Banner Construction put a door in, a sliding door that looks beautiful, and then I can go right out to the hot tub. Then I don't risk my neighbors seeing me run around naked in the backyard. That's one of the key goals. And they did that for me, Banner Construction. It looks beautiful. It's one of the examples of what they can do for you at your home and making it unique, making it the best looking home in the neighborhood. Now, they work with great products like Pella replacement windows and James Hardy fiber cement siding. You combine that with a contractor here in St. Louis that's been in business since 1993, just really blowing things out of the water, project after project, getting better after better. They can show you the fabulous possibilities with the real wood look and feel of the James Hardie siding and the beautiful Pella replacement windows. Schedule a consultant today. A free in-home design consultation is just a phone call away. 569-1050. The website, bannerconstruction.com. Fall in love with your home again. They can help you do it at Banner Construction. Fox News coming up after the top of the hour.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at De Pere, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
2 St. Louis icons, 1 legendary tribute. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra and St. Louis City SC at Powell Hall on Sunday, February 15th for Eternal, a tribute to Tina Turner. Presented by Purina, with performances by special guests including conductor Anthony Partner, Grammy Award-winning artist Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes, and our city's own Kennedy Homes. This is your chance to experience the ultimate journey through Tina's immortal catalog. Tickets are limited. Get yours now at slso.org.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
I got tickets to Kid Rock to give away next hour.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Search. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Law enforcement back at the home of Nancy Guthrie's daughter, Annie, as we're now in day 10 of the 84-year-old's disappearance.
The Sheriff's Department and FBI have shown up and are walking the streets in Annie Guthrie's neighborhood. That's about a 10-minute drive from where I'm standing. And our team there tells us they are going house to house on Annie Street. 3 detectives spent time in the backyard of a home that is 2 doors down from Annie Guthrie. We also know that they were seen searching through some bushes and some brush there. As I said, she lives about 10 minutes drive from where we're standing. Remember, the sheriff says this is where Nancy Ubered for dinner the night before she disappeared. Her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, driving her home that night.
Fox's Alicia Acuna in Tucson. This is as the FBI's released a new video of a masked person with what appears to be a gun in a holster outside Nancy Guthrie's front door on the night she disappeared. The person was wearing a ski mask and a backpack. The brief video clip does not show Nancy Guthrie. Fulton County, Georgia Chair Rob Pitts reacting after the FBI announced it's investigating what it calls possible deficiencies or defects in the vote count in the 2020 election in that county.
Fulton County's 2020 elections, they've been examined, they've been re-examined, they've been audited, there have been hand counts. under microscope, and in every instance, we come up clean.
President Trump lost Georgia in 2020, but has made unsubstantiated claims of fraud. The FBI seized hundreds of boxes of ballots after searching the election center earlier this year. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says the immigration crackdown in his state could end soon, adding he spoke with administration officials, including Border Czar Tom Homan. Walz saying he hopes for cooperation on joint investigations into the shooting of 2 people in his state by federal officers. America's listening to Fox News.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
No real weather concerns over the next couple of days, but our temperatures will be colder, but nothing extreme. Partly cloudy overnight tonight, 32. On Wednesday, lots of sunshine, but it's cooler than today by a good 10 to 15 degrees. The high 49, 50. Then on Wednesday night, some clouds, 33. Thursday, clouds and 47. And Friday, sunny skies, 54. We've got rain coming in here late Saturday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
So it's been a really interesting day in the Nancy Guthrie investigation because I think everyone this morning kind of woke up and my assumption was there's no news. In fact, I even told Fred, Sue, not Paul. I told Fred because we were trying to get a hold of Paul Morrow, and I said, I bet Fox sent him out of there because it looked like, nothing was happening. And in fact, I think they did. And then they had to send him back to Tucson. But what happened was multifaceted today. There was some video that was released, some images from a Nest camera. Morgan Wright is with us. He's the founder and the CEO of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. He was giving his reaction on Fox earlier today. Morgan, thanks so much for coming on with me here in St. Louis this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Always got to take care of my Midwest brethren. I'm originally from Kansas, so happy to be on.
We love that. So what does this, and some of the radio audience maybe hasn't been on social today or seen the video, so perhaps maybe be a little bit descriptive for the folks listening in what we saw, because this was quite stunning after 9 days of really nothing and no evidence that we can see publicly outside of some reports about a ransom note. We got some very clear video from a Nest camera that was on that door handle.
Yeah, Mark, 26 years ago, I spent a year training the FBI on computer crime investigation. Well, the student has become the master. And 26 years ago, we were just starting to get into the Internet. That's what I was teaching about. And so this has come, we are so far from where we were. And the other thing, too, with consumer video cameras, we're so far from where we were 10 years ago. Now, all of the stuff is stored in the cloud. We've got sensors. The camera is really a sensor. It's not a camera. It's a sensor that happens to also record video. So one of their biggest challenges initially was there anything on the camera itself? Now, some models of the Nest camera actually have some hard disk, some storage space on there, limited, that can record up to 30 minutes to an hour. Why? Because you might lose Wi-Fi connectivity or something might happen. So it doesn't want to lose that video. But the other thing, too, with Siri and Alexa and some of these other voice assistants, they're listening in the background. They're waiting for that trigger word. Well, how do they know the trigger word? Because they're listening in the background. So in this case, some of this video could have been buffered. And what happens is it's like I used to be a state trooper detective. And when they started getting cameras in cars, one of the things they said is, hey, when we flip the lights on, we're not capturing what happened before. So they built in a pre-event video buffer. So when that camera triggered, it triggered and collected the 30 seconds, or so beforehand. That's what I think was eventually found back at Google, back at Nest, because Google owns Nest. And look, there's two people in the world that collect more data than anybody else, the National Security Agency and Google. So back there, this is what made this even just much more stunning, is that they were not only able to trace this back and then find this, but preserve it before it was overwritten by other things, because this is very transactional. This is just a little piece of video. So what was released by Kash Patel, these images, they look black and white, but really what they are is they're night vision.
Right,
they're not like starlight scopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are night vision. And when you see the reflection on there, one of the things that struck me is you've got video, but on the pictures, the reflection, well, it looks to me like the one picture where he's holding up where he bent down, came back and has vegetation in his left hand. He's got, what they call teeth grills. He's got some kind of metal on his teeth that are reflecting. Somebody said, well, he's holding a flashlight in his mouth. No, it's not a flashlight, because if you see in the video, there's no flashlight in his mouth. So this is something else that will serve to identify him. You can see eyebrows in those videos.
There's a mustache. Do you see a mustache too? Yeah.
Yeah. I see a mustache, yeah.
But let me take you back just a little bit. And the grill on the teeth, I've heard that rumor, but I didn't know. So you're saying you definitely think that's what that is?
I don't want to say definitely, right? I'm thinking, what else could it be? Here's what I know. There has to be something that reflects infrared. The same way, if you look at the eyes, see how the eyes are reflecting? You get that. Yeah, so what is on his teeth that could be doing that? Enamel, porcelain doesn't do that.
I see
in
what
light,
you're saying.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
So and I'm saying there probably is something like a grill or maybe he wears braces. I don't know, but I tend to think that it's more something cosmetic.
So the big question when all this comes out is obviously, why did it take so long? So what's your answer to that? Is it just so involved where they had to go in deep because there wasn't an active subscription and it took a lot of forensic work just to get this? Or were they, was the request put in late? What's your theory there as far as why this doesn't come out on day 3 as opposed to day 10?
On day 3, the FBI still wasn't asked to be fully engaged, so I think it took about 3 days for the FBI to get there. And then this is look, I've been involved in internet investigations before. It's not as people will say, well, why can't you do this, folks? This isn't as easy as if you find a gun at this crime scene, you pick it up, you put it in evidence, you go test it. That's easy because you have control. Everything that the FBI dealt here was out of their control. They had to go through. You actually had to go through a court to get a search warrant. And when you get a search warrant, Mark, you cannot just go on a fishing expedition and say, "Hey, I want to search your stuff." No, search warrant says, "What are you looking for? Where do you expect it to be found?" So they actually had to get down to that point. Now I think they had the video, some of the video the day before, because they were showing it, or maybe early this morning they were showing it to the family, saying, "Hey, did you recognize anything?" However, though, there is one other thing we need to consider even with the video. It's not whether the family recognized it, what could explain an intruder confronting Nancy. Because in my days as a detective, when I worked burglary cases or we had home reports of a home intruder, the minute the lights came on or there's activity in the house, these folks are getting out of there. They're rabbiting. They don't want to get caught. What prompted this person to engage? And the other question I have is, maybe the family didn't know, but did Nancy know who this person was based on the unique grills, potentially based on maybe a voice? And that's why this engagement happened. But we definitely know something happened, because 2:10, the pacemaker still pinged, but at 2:28, it didn't. So you have an 18-minute window there. And this person was definitely around the property for, many minutes before getting entry into the house.
So Morgan, what do you make of all the ransom demands, at least in theory? I mean, Harvey Levin, TMZ has been at the focus. There's a local TV station in Tucson. They seemingly have matched up. Is your opinion at this point that those are just opportunists in the aftermath of this trying to cash in?
Yeah, one of the things I do is I have a Substack called Crime Reconstructed. And I went through and I analyzed the video, analyzed the ransom note. And one of the things that it struck me is, because what I do is I apply what's called first principles, but you have to put constraints on your thinking, right? So if this is a true ransom communication, they did evidence of claim does not equal evidence of control. I could claim that I have Nancy, but until I can show you definitive proof, you haven't reached that evidentiary level. It's like in law enforcement. It's the difference between reasonable suspicion and probable cause. We never, to me, got to that level. What I think happened was, when this started becoming news, and there was no ransom demand made. This actually opened the door for somebody opportunistic, and that's why it was a one-way conversation. That's why they went to TMZ. Why? Because you got national exposure. It increased the emotional pressure on the family. It got everybody talking. But look, I live in Northern Virginia. You know what this was? This was distraction. It was squirrel, shiny object. Here's why. During the DC sniper, guess what? Everybody was looking for a white panel van, and I kept saying, no, look at the data. We had the data. I went up to the FBI and briefed them. I said, look, we have the data. It was a blue Chevy Caprice, not a white panel van, and everybody in the National Capital Region was deathly afraid of a white panel van, and I can tell you right now, everybody drove past that blue Caprice. So that's why I've been harping on it. You got to be careful about what you put out there, the things that you say. And with this stuff now, we're to that point. That's why the ransom demand never got to that level. They could never demonstrate intimate, unique knowledge that could not be found on the internet or found by just general assumptions. Tell me, let me ask her a question. Here's the question. What was Savannah's color of her bedroom when she was 6 years old? The danger is, though, Mark, and you guys are in the media business, so many of these networks now want to humanize their host. They want to show their family.
Yeah, the information's out there.
That's a danger,
right?
actually.
Right. Yeah, so
you're putting the information out there.
The way, I can't know for sure, but what it seems like to me is that they had some of these videos yesterday, and then when it was about 24 hours ago when Savannah put out that latest video, which was different because she wasn't addressing the kidnappers or the alleged kidnappers. She was addressing the viewers and all of us and indicating that maybe somebody knows something about this. So I think that that's part of why she put that video out yesterday. And then when they did some internal work to see if anyone recognized them and that didn't, pan out, then they put it out for everyone and see if they get some hits.
Back in the day, as I say, I actually used to teach interview and interrogation behavior analysis interviewing. I taught out at NSA to FBI, CIA, state and local. And we said, you have to listen to what people say. Do you remember the Susan Smith case, the mother who drowned her two boys?
Yeah, absolutely. Horrible case.
What broke that case open was her use of the past tense. My boys were, they had, not where am I, my boys are like this. So she used past tense. So what I saw with Savannah was the disappearing narrative. And that's when that video came out. There was nothing about the ransom. There was nothing about, like you say, the kidnapper. So I think what you do is when you looked at the beginning, when the son talked about, hey, we need proof of life, we need this, and then they said, hey, we've heard you, we're willing to engage. It was never a true communication in the internet. You've got ransomware, right? Well, ransomware is also paid through Bitcoin, and these folks have established ways to communicate securely because they want your money. You want your data, well, they want your money. So in this case, it was never a communication, and to me, it was I put this out there days before this. I said I am very skeptical. And until you get to here, I will never agree that this is a ransom note. But it does change the complexion of the case now. Now that it's not, now we're looking at it's not a coordinated effort, but is this a crime of opportunity or was this pre-planned?
But then, because I was thinking through this, we all go through our minds. Was it someone who maybe didn't think that anyone was at that home, who was simply just trying to do a burglary and then found Nancy and said, oh, something, I don't know. Or was it someone who knew who she was? And if that's the case, well, that doesn't make any sense because they didn't really, it doesn't look like at this point we have a legitimate kidnapper or ransom notes. So the whole story is weird. There's also, Morgan, been a lot of, and I think this is unfair if nothing ends up being something to blame him on. But Tommaso, who is the son-in-law, KTLA in Los Angeles goes out a week ago, and they say that he's being looked at as a suspect. His name is still out there on the internet. There doesn't seem to be any indication that he has anything to do with this, but that guy's been named as a suspect by people, not by law enforcement.
Yeah, I can tell you this. That's why I was very careful as a detective. Before you made an accusation or did things, you can never unring a bell. No matter how much you say that, you can never unring that bell. And that's why I've been harping on this is that don't go out and just, look, I can't tell you how many segments today. And I've got people now emailing me, well, here's what I did this with Grok, or I did this with Gemini, and I removed his mask, and this is what the guy looks like. And I'm beating my head going, no. Yeah, don't put that stuff out there because you know why? Because the last thing you want to do is distract and which this ransom communication was to me an absolute distraction, and it took away vital, critical resources and attention because we divided our attention, right? One was on the investigation trying to find Nancy. The other one was on the ransom communication, which got tons of coverage. But again, had we just stepped back and just simply applied a more analytical look at this of first principles, there's still behavior involved. Behavior constrains people about how they act and how they react, right? With Nancy, her pacemaker, I'd like to know at 2:10 when it pinged, did it show normal rhythm or did it show that she was in distress, under duress? Was that person in the house already at that time? The pacemaker data would tell us that. And then we know 18 minutes later, it did not successfully ping. So we've now narrowed our window down from, 9 hours down to, 3 hours, now down to very close 18 minutes, because that gives me then, I did an egress analysis. I looked where are all the major routes out of that. There's 5 major corridors that you can leave. And I will tell you the other thing too, Mark, from a behavior standpoint, most people don't change their clothes. You get dressed up, you go out, you go get yourself a pack of smokes or whatever you do, you go get something to drink, and then you say, hey, let's go break into something. Well, guess what? You're on the same convenience store camera wearing the same clothes that you're using to break into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So now they've given themselves other avenues to go back and look at cameras to say, now that we know who we're looking for, now we've got something to look through all this video and say, now does it make sense? So I don't know where they're at with that, but that's human behavior is human behavior.
Yep.
I mean, people still react the same way to stress or to their routines.
Totally makes sense.
Morgan, it's Sue. I guess my question would be, what happens now? I mean, he's pretty identifiable on here. I mean, if I knew this person, I would be able to say, oh, yeah, that's him. What goes through his mind now that this is public and out everywhere?
Sue, I think a lot of people are, they're asking about that. And obviously by now he knows. They know it's him. They don't know who it is, but he goes, yep, that's me. And the question is, did he operate? I still have a concern as to whether he was by himself or there was somebody else, because we know the blood comes out of the front door. I talked to some blood spatter experts. It's called low velocity impact. It's not like somebody was standing up. They're close to the ground, so she might have been carried out. But the blood stops at the driveway there. So where was the vehicle at? Where did the vehicle come from? Did he leave her there and go get it? So, there's so many things we don't know. And I don't want to say, well, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. But with this guy here, we definitely know there's one person involved. We definitely know how he was dressed. And where they go from here is now that they've got this, they go back and they start canvassing other areas. I'd look for Teslas. Why? Because Teslas have Sentry Mode, 360-degree camera recording. I'd start looking for where, by the way, the Sonoran Desert Coalition for the Protection of the Desert, when they put their first 4 cameras up, they put them on Oracle Road. Oracle Road is 2 miles from Nancy's location and is one of the major corridors. I said if somebody was going to egress or leave that area, that's the way they would go. So you've got so many other non-obvious things to look at now. But here's the thing: you've got something to look for. It's no longer looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, that's incredible. Look, I can't even imagine the amount of intensity with this police work that's going on right now, especially now that they have this video. Did you make anything? One thing that was weird was and I don't know if there's anything to this or not, but the gloves that this dude was wearing were very unique. They almost look like close up, like boxing gloves to a certain extent, or maybe they were gloves put on other mittens or gloves, but you couldn't really use your fingers with those gloves on to disconnect cameras and stuff like that. It didn't look like.
Yeah, this guy wasn't a fashion model.
No.
The other thing too is, for people like me who've been around weapons all their life, carried it. He's carrying it in a weird position. It's appendix, but he's got a semi-automatic and a revolver holster. So that's another tell right there. What was the original weapon that was in there? Somebody, if this guy used to have a revolver, now he's got a semi-automatic that come from another theft. And look, the FBI will be able to, with those tiles, we know exactly how long those tiles are, how wide they are. So you can do what's called photogrammetry. And now I can use that to get measurements to tell you how tall is this person? What's his gait? What's his step? Probably calculate his weight. We know he's male. So, we've narrowed the field down, as I say. It's still going to be a tough slog. But this person, to your point, Sue, has gone to ground. He's got to be worried about, has he told anybody? Are any of his friends needing a $50,000 payday? It's better than winning the lottery because it comes tax-free,
Yeah, well, no, and I think that's the hope that people are going to say, wait a second, I haven't seen, this guy in a few days. I wonder if he's got something to do with it. So the tips are probably coming in way more than they need, but maybe one of them is going to lead them to the proper suspect. Morgan, great stuff here. Morgan Wright is the founder and CEO of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. We'll see where this takes us. Obviously very complicated and unique and fascinating all at the same time.
Mark, Sue, thank you so much for having me on.
Take care. You have a great night. I wanted to play this because, the president's been involved in this as well, called Savannah Guthrie the other day. Carolyn brought this up at the briefing today because they had just seen the video together.
I was once again with the president. He and I were both reviewing the newly released surveillance footage from FBI in the Savannah Guthrie case on just this heartbreaking situation with respect to her mother. The president encourages any American across the country with any knowledge of the suspect to please call the FBI, who continue to assist state and local authorities who are leading this investigation on the ground.
Yeah, you look, it's going to be a fascinating 24 hours here, I think. I mentioned one time earlier this afternoon this FBI training academy and how one time they gave us a little bit of a course in how crimes were solved based on a picture, and that was fascinating. It really was. But the best thing about that course, Sue, that I took, and I don't even know if they do this anymore, but they offered community leaders an opportunity to sit in a class. It was like a classroom. I did it with Mark Carter from the St. Louis County Council. It was like a classroom once a week. We did different topics. We did the shooting simulator. But at the end of the class, and it was even kind of outside of this, they brought in one of the lead investigators from the Boston Marathon bombing. And this guy was actually running in the race when all this happened.
Oh.
And he had to scramble because he was one of the lead investigators. I don't know if you've ever seen the Netflix Manhunt documentary on the, those brothers and stuff. It's fascinating. But when this guy came in and explained all of the particulars, I mean, I couldn't even begin to, describe the minutia of all these little things that they had to put together and find who these guys were in a very, very, short time span. And then, of course, the kids hiding in the boat, too.
Yeah,
so,
and we're all watching coverage and live of them going into the boat. It was crazy.
When that was one of those presentations. I can't remember what that guy's name was, but everybody in this country should have been able to listen to what he said because, we beat up on the cops a lot, and some of the technology that they use and the investigative, maneuvers that they have at their disposal are really remarkable.
Yeah.
And we need them at times like this. I mean, certainly in terrorist attacks, you need them a lot more. But I don't feel, I really, really feel that Nancy Guthrie might not be alive. That's one of the bad aspects of this. But we'll see if we have further developments. Take a break. We're coming back.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, still a jam westbound 370, headed for 141. We've got road work there. The other massive jam is eastbound, headed for the Poplar Street Bridge on 6440. It's jammed from the Missouri side into the Illinois side and looks better after Highway 64, right there at the merge. Westbound traffic on 6440 in the Missouri side, slowing Kings Highway in pockets out through 270 and on either side of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Now, eastbound a little slow at 170. Westbound 70, moderate volume Jennings Station Road past the airport, and a little bit here and there as you head on out. We've got this report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. They do windows, siding, kitchens, baths, and they deliver quality craftsmanship and lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, let's talk about real estate here in St. Louis. I have some experts that you can turn to. That's the Gelman team with eXp Realty. We had Neil on, it was either last week or the week before, sort of describing. We do a little check-in with one of the Gelman brothers every once in a while to see how things are shaping up. And it's been really fascinating because you still have a lot of demand and very little supply. But buyers are getting picky, and the buyers are having a little bit more of an advantage than some of the sellers if you're not marketing the home the right way. Now, the Gelmans can take care of that. They may suggest that you stage the house to get it ready for sale. Prepare it for sale. Do it the right way. Price it right. And you're going to sell it, and they can help you do that. They have a proven process. They have a lot of experience, and they can also give you an instant cash offer if you're interested in something like that. They have a great team here in St. Louis. I certainly have taken advantage of them, and Mark and Neil are personal friends. I've known them for about 15 years now. 314-336-1991. Don't forget, they have a great tool on their website where you can just punch in your address and find out how much your home is really worth. And you can find that out for free on the website, thegelmanteam.com.
Mark Cox here. It is the month of love for my friends at Zero Res. Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, it's also the biggest air filter in your home. If your carpet hasn't been professionally cleaned, you're breathing unhealthy levels of nasty dirt, dander, bacteria, and germs that keep recirculating again and again. Lucky for you, right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and say you want the KFTK special.
When it's time to replace your appliances, Lowe's has you covered. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. And members get more like free delivery, haul away, basic installation and parts, and a 2-year Lowe's protection plan when you spend $2,500 or more on select major appliances. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowes.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
The second I see that Chick-fil-A text in the group chat, I'm throwing my shoes on and running out the door. Hey, I'm Layla.
And I'm Kaylin.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit is
how it feels like an easygoing morning.
The chicken adds the most flavor. It's juicy and seasoned.
The biscuit is just very light and airy and fluffy, just like a cloud.
I also love to put jelly on mine so it's sweet and savory.
It's a good start to the day.
Mornings are a little bit brighter with the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit and Simply Orange Juice. Available on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Mark Reardon is St. Louis conservative.
It's a Tuesday. That means a Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal coming up here. We're going to get into the topic of the Nest videos and photos that came out today with the Guthrie case. And George has always got some great tech stuff. So it was a little segment we started after the first of the year, and it's going out tremendously well. And ThrottleNet's great. ThrottleNet.com/971 for your free baseline IT security check if you're a business owner. One thing I want to mention is our Fish Fry Fridays are just around the corner. We have to see if we can get our roundtable veteran Jane Duker, who took a job with Catherine Hanaway, to swing by for one of the great fish fries. The schedule is set. I had it in front of me just a minute ago, and now I can't find it. Oh, yeah, Fred puts it on my page. The first one is next Friday at Holy Trinity Serbian Orthodox Church in the city on the 27th of February. The Knights of Columbus in Cottleville. We've been there before. I think each year we've been out in Cottleville. That's a great fish fry. The VFW Post 4105 in Florissant on March 6th. I think that's a new stop on the tour. St. Mary Magdalene in Brentwood on the 13th of March. March 20th, Queen of All Saints in Oakville. And then on the 27th, I believe we closed it out at Ott's Tavern and Fish Stand in Millside, Illinois. We'll do that again on my mom's birthday, March 27th. And, of course, on Good Friday, we take that day off. No fish fries. We'll take you right into Easter. But that's going to be fun. It's your chance to say hi to Sue or Fred or Ethan or I and watch the Roundtable live. We've had a lot of fun with these over the last few years, and I can't wait to do it again. Let's see here. I have tickets to give away, I think, here. Kid Rock. Coming off a Super Bowl halftime performance the other day with Turning Point USA, is coming back to St. Louis. It's the Kid Rock 250th tour, and Live Nation has given us some tickets to give away. How about call number 7 right now on the contest line? 314-241-9797. Ethan will take your call. 241-9797. You're a winner from 97.1 FM Talk.
Bottle of scotch and watch lots of crotch. Buy a yacht with a flag saying chillin' the most. Then rock that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I got a little nervous with the lyrics there. I didn't want to go too far in that song. You never know with Kid Rock, so I needed you, Sue. Thank you.
Fair enough. On the roads, we still have a jam if you're headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. And it goes all the way to the 70 split. Just avoid it if you can. Take a different bridge. Westbound 40 Kings Highway out through McCausland. And westbound 370 is jammed. As you head for 141, that is all due to road work. Southbound 270, slow pockets of moderate volume. This is approaching Olive down through Gravois. 55 is slowing at Bates, and then it looks better. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Triton Exteriors. We take care of your home. It's that simple. Triton-STL.com. Home improvement projects can come with a lot of headaches. We save you time by offering packaged services that are easy to understand and based on your needs. We take care of the details so you don't have to. Visit us at Triton-STL.com. That's Triton-STL.com.
One of the great resources that I have, and that I would say that we have here at 97.1 FM Talk, is the Show Me Institute, which is a think tank here in the St. Louis area. And it's the only think tank in Missouri dedicated to promoting free markets and individual liberty. And they are very, very current and up to date on the website, because if you want to educate yourself on some things like state spending, we're talking about getting rid of the income tax, which is something I think the Show Me Institute would be on board with. But you have a situation where spending in the state is growing faster than revenue, and without the windfall from the feds coming, what does that mean for a a perhaps billion-dollar shortfall? They also talk a lot about education. You have Missouri ranking way behind now, 38th in fourth grade reading, 42% below the basics on the nation's most trusted exam. Lawmakers need to address that. They have recommendations at the Show Me Institute. So check what they do out online. I think you can educate yourself and do a little homework on these issues in the same way that we do here at 97.1 FM Talk. ShowMeInstitute.org.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Yes, and this portion of the show is actually brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative. Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet.
Yeah,
ThrottleNet.com.
Oops, I didn't let that finish, did I? He's back with us this afternoon. George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet. Always fun stuff on a Tuesday to talk tech. And now we got stuff that is kind of connected with this Nancy Guthrie case. How are you, George?
Good to talk to you again. Yeah, it's something else. There's so many facets to this case that even from a non-tech standpoint, all the different people I've talked to have a different take all of their own. It's amazing how this one case has probably 10 different views of what's really going on.
Well, and maybe we're going to finally get, this is what would have been frustrating. I started to get legitimately worried that we weren't going to get any answers in this and that this mystery was going to, linger. But I do think we're going to get some answers relatively quickly. One of the main questions I just asked one of our guests this question. Why do you have a theory on why it took so long for this video to come out?
Well, a couple of things. So one of the things that Ring and Nest do is they do have an emergency clause. It's called an imminent death clause. If there is imminent death, kidnapping, what have you, you don't need to get a warrant. They will release the video if that they personally, meaning the corporate, will look at the video first. If it seems that there is imminent death, imminent reason, then they will release it. But they are extremely locked down on privacy, not as much as Apple. Apple is the king of privacy when it comes to that, and with their customers. They do not, they lock up the phones. Everything's very locked up, which is why you've seen that big metal box going from house to house, from the sister's house back to the mom's house. That is to unlock the mobile devices, because Apple locks things down so tightly, which is great for the consumer until you need it to be unlocked in a case like this. But as far as the cameras go, look, those things, even if you don't have a subscription, and full disclosure, I have 12 Ring cameras on my house right now.
Wow.
Okay, I've got them inside, outside. You cannot come within 100-foot radius of my home and not be instantaneously on the internet. So it announces, too. It says, hi, you are currently being recorded on every outside camera. So the fact is, though, if I didn't have the subscription, there is a neighborhood watch feature with both Ring and Nest. So if you lose your dog, you can announce it on neighborhood.com, or there's a couple of different sites. You can actually go to ring.com and announce, hey, I've lost a golden retriever, and it knows where you live. And even if you don't have the subscription, it will start looking for notifications of a golden retriever from your neighbors and can help you find your dog. And your neighbors don't have to have a subscription either. So it's always, and I believe I heard your previous guest mention, and this is very true, it is a sensor first and a camera second.
Right.
So it's going to, no matter what, whether you're paying the $5 or $20 for long-term storage, it's sensing everything that's going on around your house, and it's saving it on their servers in the cloud for, it could be up to 30 days. So the reason it took some time, yes, they probably had to get a warrant. They may have locked, Nest Google may have said, we need a warrant to release this footage. Or it could have been Google said, look, we'll get it to you, but we have to go back deep into our data to try and find any type of saved data, because this was, 10 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
So if she didn't have a subscription, they may have had to have dig to find this video and then piece it together. A lot of times it's not just one video. They may have had a series of still photos that they pieced together into a video. So it's a lot of different facets as to what could have happened if you don't have a subscription on those cloud cameras. It's very important that you do, though. But you don't need it if you just want to turn it into a monitor and use your phone or tablet to look at your cameras through your Wi-Fi. That's not a problem. But I would definitely recommend doing at least the minimum subscription if you're going to install one of those cameras on your house.
So let me take you back to that technology that you just referred to, the unlocking technology. What is that called, and then how does that work? Because I'd never heard about that before.
That's a good question.
So you mean as far as the tracking of the neighborhood?
No, the piece of equipment that they were that you referred to, the box. Yeah.
Yes, the box. So that is a box literally full of. It can go for Android or iPhone technology. It is specifically meant for government officials to have. It was provided by Apple to break into phones. Now it takes. The way Apple has the phone locked down, it is literally an algorithmic lockdown. It is not just a simple, if you can't figure out their person's PIN code, it takes a lot of work. It's trying to hack a password, essentially, which can take a lot of time and a lot of mathematics to figure out. Because, think about how many different forms of, how many multiplying forms you could have on a 6-pin code. And if you don't have the person's face, it's not going to unlock the phone. So they do plug this device into the phone, and then it has to sit for a while to unlock the device. And then when it's unlocked, has to go through the entire hard drive and decrypt the data that's on that phone.
Holy
you can't just
cow.
pull the data. So not only are you trying to unlock this thing, but when you get in there, all of the text messages and all of the Apple app data is all encrypted. So it's a definite process to go through. There's two sides to it. Of course, if my phone is stolen, I don't want people to get into it. But the downside is if you do something bad, police takes a long time. It takes a warrant. So you have to get the phone. You have to use this specialized device to crack open the data. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword. But as a consumer, I'm happy they do it, be honest with you. But in this case, it could speed things up if it didn't have that.
Is that something that most law enforcement might have, or just the feds?
I have not seen it with locals. I know for a fact, obviously, the federal government has it in multiple agencies, but I have not seen that on a local level. And I may be wrong. They may have it. I don't know, but I have not seen that on a
that's
local
interesting.
level.
George Rosenthal is here from Throttlenet Tech Talk Tuesdays. So the other thing that now this may be a moot point at this point because we've been talking about ransom notes and Bitcoin, and Harvey Levin from TMZ is on CNN every night talking about how he has been refreshing the folder and looking to see if any Bitcoin is in there and all those things. What do you make of any of that?
I mean, my goodness, if this isn't for some sort of money, then what's going on? Then it has to have been maybe a burglary gone wrong or something. And look, and Bitcoin is a way to get money, and we talk about this all the time with ransomware attacks with businesses. But Bitcoin has become now more traceable as time has gone on.
Oh,
yes. So the law enforcement can track your digital wallet. So you have to have a digital wallet first. There's no name associated to it, but it's called Wallet 123 ABC. So, but when you transfer Bitcoin to a digital wallet, now the law enforcement can track that wallet. And when they do know the name of that wallet becomes radioactive. It might as well be a nuclear bomb, because as soon as you pull any type of Bitcoin or cash out of that digital wallet, everybody knows where it went. Now, the actual money, the actual Bitcoin cannot be traced, but the wallet can. And when a transaction happens, that's why it can be traced. Now, the immediate question is, well, then why are the bad guys using Bitcoin to steal if it can be traced? Well, what they're doing is they're using mixers. These are things like there's a digital coin called Monero, and Monero is completely untraceable, but it's very hard to get. Not a lot of people know how to go buy Monero digital coin. What the bad guys do is they know how to do that. So they'll take your Bitcoin. Even if you're tracking the wallet, they'll then transfer the Bitcoins out of their wallet into a system like Monero, mix it all up. It becomes basically dirty data. It's very hard to then track that. They'll wait 6 months or so and then transfer it back to Bitcoin wallet in a clean format, and it's now laundered.
Wow.
By the way,
it's very hard to then track that. So that's because the immediate question was, well, if they can trace Bitcoin, then why are the bad guys using it to hold everybody ransom? It's because Bitcoin's easy to buy, it's easy to sell, and it's easy to turn into cash. The problem is it's traceable. So they're using mixers, these mixers and tumblers, basically, to launder the money and make it hard for law enforcement to track it and trace it down.
By the way, I had $100 worth of Bitcoin. Now I have $64.80 worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not rocking like the stock market right now, I must say. That's way down.
Not. It is way down, which is why I never treated it as a long-term financial investment. There is so much volatility in it. It is if you're depending on that for your retirement, then you had better been mining Bitcoin for the last 15 years, because if you're going to start putting it in now and thinking it's going to 200,000, that's a heck of a gamble. It may, I don't know, it may, but that's a heck of a gamble. So I don't put all your eggs into digital coin just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we kind of, had to call an audible here today because of all the stuff that's making national news. I didn't know if there was anything else that was on your radar that you wanted to share here on this Tuesday afternoon.
Oh my gosh! Well, as far as AI goes, I think it's fascinating. When I heard your previous guest say that people are using AI to use this masked guy's face, his face, obviously he has a ski mask on. But doesn't that fascinate you that we can use AI, upload a masked man's face, and AI will generate what it thinks the guy looks like based on his eyes and the distance between his nose and his mouth? I mean, we are in a completely different level of technology and world that we're living in right now. I don't understand personally how anybody can think about committing a crime and not understand that there's an eyeball everywhere looking at you.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Right, but for the last 10 days, we're like, wait a second. We said that 100 million times, and then for the last 10 days now, in the end, I guess maybe we're going to be right about this because the technology was there. And then as Morgan and you indicated, now you can say, okay, that was the clothing, right? So now we got him at the convenience store. Now we got him at the gas station or whatever. So this is probably going to, certainly expedite this crime being solved. At least we hope so. But yeah, it's nuts out there.
It absolutely is. It's so crazy. And when you throw RFID tags that are going to be now into clothing as we go into the future, the near future, there'll be RFID tags in everything. When you walk into a convenience store, the door frame will identify the different RFID tags that walk in, and they'll be able to trace all this stuff down. As we get into the next 10, 15 years, I don't see how crime is even going to be coming through most people's brain. I don't understand it because it's going to be so tracked and so traced with everything from AI, RFID tags, magnetics, cameras everywhere. I just don't understand how people can still think that they're going to get away with stuff like this.
I'm with you, but it's going to be fascinating if I live that long. Because, look, the iPhone came out in 2008, right? Think about how much has just happened in that time.
It's nuts. It's
And-
nuts.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah, it really
it's a different
is.
planet from 2008.
Great stuff. George Rosenthal. Check out throttlenet.com/971 if you want a free IT baseline security check. Great stuff here this afternoon, George. We'll do it again next Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great talking to you guys. Have a great rest of the week.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we've got a stall reported eastbound 6440, just a little bit past Chesterfield Airport Road. Watch for that on the right side. We still have a parking lot jam westbound 370. The right lane's down at 141 for some road work. 70 westbound, not bad. Little moderate volume, Jennings Station Road and at K. 64 is still lined up. Kings Highway out past McCausland. And then on either side of Lake St. Louis Boulevard, we still have a jam headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge. It's worst between Route 3 and the 6470 split. And then things look just a little better. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Well, we know people are staying in their homes longer, right? Maybe you've done something with the kitchen. You've invested in your home. Why would you settle for a bathroom that still feels ordinary? Michael's Baths can help you with that. They create elevated bathroom spaces. They really do blend luxury, comfort, and smart design. And one of the things that's awesome is they really, really tailor it, customize it to the way that you live. So tub to shower conversions are very popular right now. They can certainly handle that. That's easy. They do full high-end bathroom remodels as well, including the paint and electrical, right? So they're not subcontracting that out. They handle all the details. And they even have a new higher-end wall option, which will bring a custom, it's almost like a spa-like look to your home. And they work with great products outside of that. Central and Moen, American-made products, lifetime warranties. They have 30-plus years of experience, and it's a perfectly run family operation. Melody will take your call when you call. That's Mike's daughter, and they'll get the team out there for an estimate. And then you're ready for a spring installation. If you want some changes in that bathroom, michaelsbaths.com or call 636-775-0800. They do have financing with 0% interest upon approval. Keep that in mind. Family-owned, insured, and where everyday bathrooms become something special. Michael's Bath.
Mark Cox here. I get to attend President Trump's State of the Union address, and I'm taking you with me. We'll have real-time reaction and the Mark Cox Morning Show live from the Fox News D.C. Bureau, February 24th and 25th, sponsored by Corral Roofing and Golden Oak Lending.
License number GL2500615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Home power used to be simple. Now the car plugs in, the scooter plugs in, the space heater plugs in, and your electric panel starts popping.
That sounds bad, but I like popcorn.
Popcorn is great, sparks are not. Call Grasser. We'll upgrade your panel so you can run it all.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace And then Mirabelle Gardens, featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life. Don't miss this trip. Meet me and the folks from Colette to learn more at the Lodge at Des Peres, Tuesday, February 24th at 2 p.m. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or go to 971talk.com/events for details.
Kid Rock, a celebration 250 years in the making. Freedom 250 Tour, The Road to Nashville. Friday, May 15th at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater with Parker McCollum. On sale Friday, 10 a.m. at LiveNation.com.
American Badass!
The ultimate American party. Kid Rock.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is The Mark Reardon Show.
All right, this is the point of the show where we have audio cut of the day. And, you know, one of the things that I continue to be challenged on here is making sure that things are real, right?
Right.
They're not AI created. But I got a couple of pieces of audio here that I haven't gotten to yet. We've been, you know, kind of focusing on Nancy Guthrie and some of the hearings that went on Capitol Hill on ICE, but...
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Okay, I'm trying to find out where this was, but there was this crazy communication from a very, very small, I think, single-engine plane that was about to crash, and the pilot thought he was dead.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. We're not going to make it. Please tell my wife, Molly, I love her, and my parents. I love them so much.
So he ended up crashing in the middle of an intersection and survived.
Holy cow.
I know, and that was the radio communication that he thought was going to be the last. So this is something that happened in Philadelphia. You know, they call this fraud tourism. Check this out.
This is the case involving the two men from Philadelphia who heard it was easy to rip off taxpayers here in Minnesota. Federal prosecutors have called this case fraud tourism, saying the men traveled here to steal from the now defunct Medicaid program. Today, they traveled back here to face the consequences, and I had the chance to ask them about it. They called it fraud tourism. You want to respond to that, sir? You have to tell them. Why Minnesota, Mr. Brown? Got no comment today, okay? Anything you want to say to taxpayers here? That's Lester Brown and Anthony Jefferson, both from Philly. They admitted in court today to setting up businesses in the housing stabilization program here in Minnesota. We learned today the men used ChatGPT to draft fake client notes and use them to submit inflated bills for reimbursement. Prosecutors say instead of helping people find stable housing, they stole more than $3.5 million from the program that shut down late last year.
So you start adding this up from city to city to city to city. Remember what we were told when Trump took office from the left? There's no waste, fraud, and abuse. This stuff isn't happening. But what I'm hearing in that report, and you kind of piggyback that off of what we just discussed with George, I mean, this AI stuff is helping the criminals, isn't it?
It really is. And they
like
know where to go when they want to get away with it.
All right, so one more cut here because, again, if this is one of those situations, and you guys listen right now, you know this, if this were flipped, this would be dominating news coverage. So we have Congresswoman Monica McIver, who's from New Jersey, and she tangled with ICE agents and was charged with assault for that tangling about 6 months ago. But she was involved in this hearing today with Todd Lyons, who's the ICE director, and listen to how she treated him. Now, this happens in these hearings where they just shout at one another, but this seemed to cross a line.
Let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer.
Let me just start with highlighting the axe part, right? But that's racist of me. But she's going to ask some questions.
Let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many government...
The gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend, as I said.
So then you have, and I can't remember who the chair is there, reading the list of rules, basically telling Congresswoman McIver that that is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. But you imagine that was someone who was, Southern Baptist or something along those lines, and you asked a question like that, and you flip the parties. That would be something that would get nonstop coverage. There would be outrage. The New York Times would have an editorial about it. But this will not be mentioned at all in any coverage. You won't see it outside of, Fox in this show. You might not even see it on Fox because there's so much coverage right now. But that is outrageous on the part of a United States Congresswoman who should be I don't know if she should be behind bars, but there should be punishment for what she did when she tangled with ICE. But that's just unbelievable that that's the level of rhetoric that's being used in D.C. right now over an issue that most of America really agrees on. They don't agree that ICE agents should be out in the streets picking up people that are citizens, but they do agree overwhelmingly still, and even Democrats, that people who aren't here legally should be sent back. We're back tomorrow at 3. Have a great night.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 370 drivers have had just a rough evening. It's a slow go as you approach 141 with a jam that goes almost back through 270. This is all due to road work. Slow-moving traffic southbound on 270. We've got an accident reported before Gravois. That's causing a delay. And a jam eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge through the 70-64 split. It's really slow over there. Westbound 64 still just lined up Hampton out through McCausland. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, you just heard George Rosenthal in the previous segment, and we love him, and that's why we're doing Tech Talk Tuesdays. But they can do something here in St. Louis for you as a business owner, because George and his team at Throttlenet, they've been helping St. Louis businesses navigate technology for more than a quarter century, 25 plus years, focusing on security, strategy, and keeping companies productive. And one thing that we've learned over the years in our discussions with George is cyber threats are not just a big company problem. You hear about them more in the headlines, of course, in the news when it's a big company problem. I may be speaking from a microphone owned by a company that had a ransomware threat years ago, but it happens. And one data breach or a ransomware attack can shut your business down or cost you a lot of headaches and money. So get your free IT baseline security audit from Throttlenet today. Go to throttlenet.com/971. That's throttlenet.com/971. A very simple way to get clarity on your cybersecurity risk. Don't risk it. Get with George and the team today.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She